Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Apocalypse of 100 Demons. I became the strongest demon Tamer. Chapter 41. The old man was so angry that he was lying on the ground. There is actually a second floor. Does that mean there are third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh floors? After the demon suppression tower awakened, Chen Qing did not explore it further, but now it seems that the demon suppression tower still has many secrets. Chen Qing said in his heart, "Painted skin, can you hear my voice?" "Yes, master. Zhang Kui, Zhang Kui, Zhang Kui." After shouting several times, Zhang Kui did not respond. "Master, the great god Zhang Kui has entered the third floor." "The third floor, where is it?" "I don't know, only the great god Zhang Kui can enter." Painted Skin patiently explained. "The demon suppression tower and the master are one. Only when the master becomes stronger can it grow. The current demon suppression tower can perhaps be regarded as a small baby. Above the third floor, it may still be in a chaotic state. Then Zhang Kui will not be in danger, right? The great god Zhang Kui already has a godhood and dozens of magical powers. Even if he is a little confused, there is probably nothing in the world that can harm him." "Who are you talking about?" Suddenly, a mysterious voice came. "Great god. What great god?" In the second floor of the demon suppression tower, it was not what one imagined. Instead, it was a very empty space with rolling fog. Painted Skin sat cross-legged in meditation, with a look of fear on his face. Zhang Kui's big face was almost pressed against Huapi's, and his beard like Zhongfei was piercing Huapi's face. Huapi didn't dare to resist, but whispered, meet the great god." Obviously, Huapi was AC-level evil ghost. But in front of Zhang Kui, AD-level wandering soul, he was as fragile as a chicken. Zhang Kui looked at the ground with one eye and at Huapi with the other, and suddenly stretched out his hand. "Ghost bead, ghost bead, ghost bead, I want to eat the ghost bead." His hand stretched out of the demon suppression tower, as if it grew out of Chen Qing's chest. Chen Qing was startled and said, "I can give it to you, but don't scare Huapi, she has to practice." Okay. Chen Qing immediately stuffed a ghost bead like a leaf into Zhang Kui's hand. Zhang Kui seemed dissatisfied with the ghost bead, pouted his lips, chewed it, and walked into the mist. Originally, Chen Qing wanted to go to the princess's tomb and replace all 12 wandering souls with stronger ones. But now that the Painted Skin is in seclusion, this matter will be postponed for a few days. She didn't feel it when she didn't have the painted skin, but now that she has the painted skin, she suddenly feels uneasy without wearing it. She immediately returned to the base and started walking the Zhou Tian. In the next few days, she exercised crazily during the day to improve her physical fitness, and walked the Zhou Tian at night. The physical test has to increase 1 lap every day, and now it has reached 17 laps within 20 minutes. Under this pressure, people are eliminated every day. Correspondingly, everyone's improvement is also very fast. In the last 2 days of the 7-day deadline, Monkey and Fatty reached the soul-moving realm one after another. At this time, Chen Qing has opened up 11 Zhou Tian, one step away from the spiritual realm. It's really not easy. He Runsheng's tears are about to fall. In just 7 days, He Runsheng has lost nearly 20 pounds from a little fat man. At this moment, calling him a fat man is no longer true. "Don't relax yet, think about how to pass this level tonight." Monkey frowned. "I learned the art of contracting ghosts in 1 night, and tomorrow night I have to contract my first ghost pet. I'm really fed up, you're so rushed. Yes, now our training intensity has far exceeded that of previous ghost killing teams, but I heard that the training of the ghost killing team this year is also inhumane." Guxing remained silently running the Zhoudian. "It's a big class in the evening. Everyone must be present." Wukong was very pleased. "I'm surprised at your growth rate. Based on my 10 years of teaching experience, the soul-moving state takes as short as a week and as long as a month. And all 41 of you who stayed here today have reached the soul-moving state in just 1 week, which is gratifying. Are we so good? Then I am also a genius." "You are a genius. I'm a day ahead of you in soul-moving, okay." Everyone was immediately excited. This week, they were CPUED a lot. The feeling of being recognized for the first time was so touching that I cried. But a more severe challenge is coming. From now on, within 24 hours, you must learn the art of contracting ghosts. Tomorrow night, you will all go to the princess's tomb and you must have your own ghost pet. If it were a week ago, it would definitely be a chaotic scene. But this time, although everyone felt it was outrageous, they all kept silent. Everyone was thinking about how to deal with this level. Chen Qing has already learned the ghost contracting technique and the more advanced black prison ghost contracting technique. It didn't affect Chen Qing. It shouldn't be like this. Hong Ya stood up. Let's not talk about how difficult it is to learn the ghost contracting technique in one day. It's outrageous to find a ghost pet that suits you in one day after learning it. There was an objection, and several people immediately echoed it. Especially for girls. Everyone was slightly stunned. Girls are physically weaker than boys, so choosing a ghost pet is the top priority. If you make a wrong choice, your whole life will be ruined. Then what do you think it should be? Girls should not have less than 5 days to choose a ghost pet. No, a week. This is not my decision. Wukong shook his head. Go to class. Chen Qing didn't need to participate in the next class. Painted Skin's retreat time is almost up, and he should be able to come out tomorrow. You can't bring your mobile phone to class. Back to the dormitory, there are 2 missed calls on the phone. Mr. Chen, the 3rd batch of pig feed has been put into production. We have brought the samples here. They are at the entrance of the 5th base of the Ghost Control Army. Do you need to take a look? Oh, I'll be there right away. The 2nd call. Hey, Mr. Chen, the rice, soybeans, and potatoes have been prepared. When will you come to receive them? In the next 2 days. With nearly 70 million in hand, Chen Qing has been very worried these 2 days. He bought nearly 6 million in daily necessities, hardware products, etc. He bought the most reliable types of grain for 50 million. In the doomsday, there is no need to panic if you have food and guns. When we arrived at the entrance of the base, a business car was parked on the side. 3 men in suits were waiting here. One of them was Mr. Zhu from the feed factory. In the past few days of contact, Chen Qing understood that they wanted to get in touch with the Ghost Control Army. It seems that when he was video chatting with manager Jin that day, Chen Qing's identity as the Ghost Control Army purchaser was leaked. In short, everyone is respectful to Chen Qing now. Chen Qing took a bag of pig feed samples, opened it, and frowned immediately. There is a fishy smell. He frowned and tasted it. The texture was rough and powdery. His mouth was full of crumbs. Seeing Chen Qing's expression, Boss Zhu immediately explained, Mr. Chen, the taste is indeed a bit worse. This is the 3rd batch of improved type, with starch added. Chen Qing tasted it again. There was improvement, but not much. Soaking in warm water or cooking it will be much better. Can the nutritional content be guaranteed? Of course, strictly required. Chen Qing nodded. Then there is no problem. Let's speed up the production according to this improved type. Now eating this makes you frown, but in the end times, this is a delicious delicacy. As for how to receive the grain, Chen Qing has already thought of a way. After a little effort, he asked He Chang for a bunch of seals. Came to the warehouse area of Binjiang district. This warehouse area is connected to the railway and has a wharf, 1.2 kilometers away from the highway exit. It is basically a grain area. As soon as you enter here, you can see nearly 100 barrel-shaped silver-white metal barrels standing. Each one is 7 or 8 stories high. Manager Tian introduced enthusiastically. We have 229 standard granaries, all built according to ASTMD 3299 standards, the smallest 35 tons, the largest is what we see in front of us. 30 meters high, 15 meters in diameter, and a capacity of 2,445 tons. Chen Qing spent 20.3 million on grain. Originally, this money could only buy about 10,000 tons of grain, but he had an idea and changed it to old rice and beans. All of them are about 6 years old, but they are guaranteed not to be broken. Instantly, it went from 10,000 tons to 25,000 tons. Manager Tian took Chen Qing into the granary, where there was a relatively simple-looking computer that constantly monitored the temperature and humidity inside. The interior was like a 90% full granary, with a cross-shaped aisle on top that could be raised and lowered. After lowering the aisle by 2 meters, Manager Tian bent down and picked up a handful of rice. The biggest problem is the heat of the grain pile. If we don't take care of it, so much grain piled together will go bad in a week at most. We have 30 years of experience in temperature control. Although these rice are 6-year-old rice, Mr. Chen, rest assured that the quality is a little lacking, but there is absolutely no problem. Are there surveillance cameras? Yes, there are 3 in each granary. Chen Qing ordered 5,000 tons of potatoes, 4,000 tons of rice, 4,000 tons of soybeans, and 6,000 tons of wheat. Except for potatoes, which are placed in ordinary warehouses, the rest are placed in barrel warehouses. It sounds like a lot, but there are actually only 8 barrels. Chen Qing signed for it directly and took the key. And seals were put outside the 8-barrel warehouse. Manager Tian naturally wouldn't care. I found an excuse to say goodbye to Manager Tian, returned to the warehouse, turned off the surveillance, and turned each surveillance to look at the sky, and then began to collect the grain. In 10 minutes, the first rice warehouse was completely taken away. Then, the second, the third, the 8th. After all were taken away, a seal was affixed to the door. Potatoes were stored in ordinary cold storage. The potatoes were a little shriveled after being a few years old, but it was harmless. It was just that the monitoring position was quite high, and it took some effort to turn all the heads. The seal was also affixed, and finally it was done. After such a long time, it was already afternoon. When leaving the park, Manager Tian saw them off warmly. Mr. Chen, is there any reason why you have purchased so much grain recently? He said. You, Chen Qing said calmly, have people from other departments come to collect grain? Yes, there have been several waves of people from the government and the military. The price of grain has risen by 6 points in the past few days. I am a purchaser, how can I know any news? Chen Qing laughed. But he nodded secretly in his heart. Sure enough. The government has taken action. I'm afraid the woman in black veil I saw at the last summit is not a nobody. When we returned to the base, most of the people had gathered in the playground. 10 military vehicles were ready to go. 4 were 5-seater, 6 were 13-seater, and there was also a medical vehicle. Not long after, Han Yuan showed up with Chen Man. Han Yuan's face was bruised and swollen, and he looked very embarrassed. Today I'll take you to see the world, don't be scared silly. Let's go. Chen Qing hurriedly followed. Captain, why did you bring Xiao Man with you? Him, oh, by the way, he's in the Blood Qi realm. What? Chen Qing was stunned. Han Yuan scratched his head. I wanted to suppress him, but this guy broke through while practicing, and I really couldn't suppress him. Chen Qing felt a headache, and he had to grow his brain again. No, 6-year-old in the Qi and Blood realm. Play. Oh, that's right. This expression is right. Han Yuan laughed. I had the same expression at that time. The commander had the same expression. That old guy insisted on snatching my apprentice from me, and we had a fight. You lied, it wasn't a fight, it was Grandpa Zhu who beat you. Chen Man corrected seriously. You little idiot, Han Yuan scolded. That guy is not human, understand? Not human. Considering that you still followed the master and didn't betray, I'll forgive you this time. Han Yuan said. Chen Qing waved his hand. Come to my car, and talk slowly. The car started, and Han Yuan told everything that had happened in the past few days. Han Yuan told the commander about the demon suppression tower in his hand. The commander took it very seriously and invited several, sealing, figures to help. Han Yuan, Gong Wagu and 4 super strong men came to the princess's tomb and slaughtered 6 ghosts at random, and really summoned the Ghost King. Afterwards, the 4 super strong men led and forcibly pressed the ghost's head, making it contract a blood contract, with Gong Wagu, a ghost contract technique that is as dangerous as the black prison ghost contract technique. When the 2 captains and 4 super strong men went back, an accident happened. Chen Man broke through to the Qi and Blood realm. This was a big deal, and a battle that could be called the Washan Sword Contest broke out. Han Yuan was so excited that he rolled up his sleeves and fought with the commander, and finally won the custody. Of course, Chen Man's statement that Han Yuan was simply beaten is more reliable. So you got your bruised face and nose because you were beaten by the commander. Han Yuan emphasized. I wasn't beaten, I lost the fight. Chen Man was about to retort again, but Han Yuan angrily said, shut up. Chen Man stopped talking. Chen Qing looked at this guy, not surprised, but very surprised. Geniuses like Zhou Yangchao, Ji Luo, Chen Qing, etc. are nothing in front of a 6-year-old Qi and Blood realm. Because of Chen Man and this tower, our 5th team may become lively. Han Yuan sighed. Gong Wagu will definitely come to our team, which makes sense. After all, the Ghost King in the Demon Suppression Tower is now her ghost pet, but if a few more old guys come, I will be miserable. Chen Qing frowned and suddenly thought of a question. No, Captain, you, Captain Gong, and 4 Sealings went to the Princess Tomb, why didn't you take them by the way? Is the Princess Tomb so powerful? Powerful. Now it's the novice village of the Ghost Control Army. That is to say, the Princess Tomb was deliberately left there for training. Chen Qing felt it was absurd, but also strangely reasonable. After a while, 10 cars arrived at the boundary of the Princess Tomb about 1 kilometer away. At a command, all the members got off the car, quickly lined up in 2 rows. The neatness of the team alone can show the results of 7 days of training. Almost all the evil ghosts and above here have been cleared out. You will spend a long time here. Of course, there are some very scary existences at the wandering soul level, but if you can't even deal with wandering souls, don't even talk about defending the rear. You have learned a lot about ghost science. I think you all have your favorite ghost pets. Han Yuan snapped his fingers, and everything in front of him suddenly changed. The wilderness was suddenly full of ghost fog, and the sky suddenly darkened. The lush vegetation became bare, and the scattered houses became dilapidated. The water in the stream was dark and full of fishy smell. Everyone was shocked. Han Yuan smiled. Welcome to the Princess Ghost Domain, little cuties. The whole world was in chaos, and the enemy was in chaos. Everyone shuddered. Having seen Wukong's evil ghost level swallowing wind, they were mentally prepared, but now when they knew that they would encounter ghosts if they took another step forward, many people retreated. Zhou Yangchao entered first, followed by Ji Luo, Chen Kun and others. There may be some kind of boundary, and once you step in, you will never see anyone again. Ghostland. Chen Qing frowned. Another new word. Or is this the ghost world mentioned in the previous life? Chen Qing looked at Han Yuan, a little worried. Captain, you won't let Chen Man in too? Don't worry, I'll follow. Han Yuan waved his hand. Go catch your own ghost. Chen Qing was speechless. No matter how talented he is, Chen Man is less than 7 years old. Even if he follows, but... Come on, put this on. Han Yuan took out a pair of boxing gloves. The boxing gloves were a bit strange, full of wood grain, as if carved from wood. At that moment, he squatted on the ground and put them on Chen Man. After Chen Man put on the boxing gloves, Han Yuan took out a wood grain helmet. After finally putting them on, it was a wood grain chest protector again. You are so annoying. Chen Man had no expression on his face, but his tone was dissatisfied. You're a piece of shit, I'm here to protect you. I'm strong, I don't need your protection. You're not strong at all. I can beat you with just 1 finger. In 2 years, I can beat you. Not even in 10 years. Seeing the two bickering, Chen Qing felt relieved for no reason. Chen Qing, let's form a team. Monkey came over. It's my first time in the ghost domain, I'm a little scared. Take me, please, great God. He Runsheng also came over. Ji Yuxing didn't say anything and went straight into the ghost domain. Chen Qing didn't care about the others, but Monkey had to take care of them. Chen Qing nodded and entered the ghost domain. I don't know what tricks were used here. 1 step, it seemed like entering another time and space. Cold, dark, the air was filled with fishy smell. Fatty, how much soul power do you have? 41. How about you? I'm 58. The monkey murmured. The F level with ghost energy value of 1 to 10 must be removed, so we can only contract E level or wandering souls that have just reached D level. The monkey shook his head. There is not much room for choice. You don't have much. He Runsheng was about to cry, looking at Chen Qing. God, how about you? I don't know. Chen Qing answered honestly. God must be afraid of disappointing the hearts of us who are at the bottom. It's so considerate. Quote. Almost everyone who had the opportunity to choose antiques changed to a ghost watch. All wore it on their hands and walked slowly. Soon, the 3 saw the first ghost. Suck, suck, Suck in a dead pond and ate mud. Toilet ghost. Take the watch and test it. 14. E-level wandering soul. The monkey contract is definitely a waste. With his soul power of 58, a D-level ghost close to 30 is the best. I don't want it either. He Runsheng shook his head. If possible, I still want a D level. 20 to 40 is D, 41 to 60 is C, 61 to 80 is B, and 81 to 100 is A. Chen Qing naturally would not choose. His two main pets are Zhang Kui and Painted Skin. For this level, Painted Skin is a super level monster. What about Zhang Kui? Although it is just a wandering soul, and only D level, looking at its suppression of Painted Skin, we can't just look at the surface data. This time he just wants to replace as many F-level wandering souls as possible in the demon suppression tower. The density of ghosts in the ghost domain is quite high, and soon he met the second one. But the three of them were stunned. This ghost looks like an ancient man, with a helmet on his head, a chest armor, a back armor, and a skirt armor. A knife was tucked on his waist. He was walking forward aggressively. Chen Qing and the other two were behind a collapsed low wall, and Monkey shrank back. Ancient ghosts. I haven't learned this. Everyone was still studying ghost science, but most of the ghost science was modern ghosts, as well as common ghosts such as air-eating ghosts, toilet ghosts, and sick ghosts. Ancient ghosts were never taught. Soldier ghost. The three of them randomly named a name, and the ghost table was aligned to test. 61. B-level wandering soul. Monkey's soul power is 58. According to the recommended 50%, he'd better contract a ghost of about 29. The highest cannot exceed 70%, which is 41. He Runsheng has even less, 41, and it is recommended to contract 20 ghosts, and the maximum cannot exceed 28. Of course, it has already exceeded. No, I can't eat it, let's go. However, Chen Qing stopped. The monkey was slightly stunned, and immediately understood. Chen Qing, can you contract this? Chen Qing naturally couldn't expose the existence of the demon suppression tower, but just vaguely said, just right. Great God, then you are almost 100. He Runsheng was shocked. This is too great. Chen Qing nodded, took out the kunwu knife in his hand, and the spiritual energy was stimulated, and the blood shadow of the blade floated over. Buzz. A light sound. Chen Qing had already climbed over the low wall, and the knife went straight to the soldier ghost. Swish. As if cutting open an old leather, a big hole appeared on the back of the soldier ghost's neck. The blade continued to move downward, but the back was protected by the carapace, and only a spark was scratched. The dark blue ghost blood slowly seeped out, dripping on the ground. The ghost soldier reacted very quickly and stabbed back with a knife. Chen Qing raised his knife to block. Dang, sparks flew everywhere. Before this, all the ghosts Chen Qing had fought against, except for the Painted Skin, were F-level wandering souls that would shatter at the slightest touch. This was his first time fighting a ghost like this. Dang. They were evenly matched in strength, but Chen Qing was far from being a match for the ghost soldier in terms of knife skills. In just these few exchanges, he had already been stabbed. Fortunately, he was wearing a painted skin, so he was least afraid of this kind of ghost. Chen Qing wanted to hone his fighting skills, staring at the ghost soldier's knife, trying hard to learn. Snap. A knife light slashed straight down from Chen Qing's face. Chen Qing dodged it suddenly, and although his face was also protected by the painted skin, he was still covered in cold sweat. Monkey and He Runsheng both tensed up. The monkey had already jumped out and rushed into the battle with a knife. Don't come over, monkey. Chen Qing stopped him immediately. With the painted skin protecting him, he was invincible, but the monkey would really die. I can't watch you get killed. Its knife can't hurt me. Chen Qing shouted. Retreat. The monkey was skeptical and carefully observed the place where Chen Qing had just been chopped by the soldier ghost. His uniform was torn, but it seemed that his body was really fine. He retreated a little further, but still stared at the two, ready to support at any time. Clang 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 clang, clang, clang. The sound of the two knives hitting each other kept ringing, and sparks burst out in the air. Chen Qing had been stabbed more than 10 times, and finally. Swish. One knife. Throat sealed. If this knife appeared on a person, blood would spray 2 or 3 meters. Although a lot of blood gushed out of the soldier ghost's wound, it was by no means much. Ding 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 ding. One knife after another. Chen Qing seemed to have found some pattern, and it was getting harder and harder for Binggui's knife to hit Chen Qing. I understand. I'm stronger. Chen Qing was very happy. At a certain moment, a knife was chopped out. The ghost's head flew out. The monkey clapped his hands and shouted, "Awesome!" He Runsheng was stunned for a while, and then shouted wildly, "Cool!" The old man was so angry that he was lying on the ground. But at this moment, Chen Qing paused. He could feel that the soldier ghost couldn't find a place in the demon suppression tower. The body was dissipating. Chen Qing's mind moved, and a toilet ghost was broken and turned into pure ghost energy. The soldier ghost naturally filled the vacancy. The moment the soldier ghost filled the vacancy, Chen Qing felt that Zhang Kui had become much stronger. It was just that Monkey and He Runsheng were present and couldn't summon him to take a closer look. Awesome, Xiao Qingzi. Monkey slapped Chen Qing's shoulder, strong. The great god is invincible. He Runsheng also praised, looking at Chen Qing from left to right. Carefully asked, "Great god, are you wearing any protective armor?" Painted Skin said that when she is attached to a person, it cannot be seen except by the pupil skills such as the Sky Eye and the Fire Eye. Chen Qing was stabbed so many times just now, but he was safe and sound, and the two of them naturally saw it. "Well, I got one before." Chen Qing didn't plan to say more. "Let's go, we must get you two a suitable ghost pet today." Both nodded heavily. If we can't get a suitable ghost pet with Chen Qing, then there will be no hope in the future. This place used to be a three-dimensional agriculture with many fish ponds, but after no one maintained them, the dikes between most of the fish ponds were slowly damaged and connected like a piece of candied hawse, while some of the sides gradually dried up and became dead ponds and muddy ponds. Along the way, we kept seeing toilet ghosts eating happily in these dead ponds. But the natural resistance to shit made the three of them turn a blind eye. Chen Qing had a vague impression that the famous work of the toilet ghost when it was at the evil ghost level was eating filth, which had a good combat power. And if you don't mind its disgusting nature, this thing is actually quite easy to advance to. The three of them walked along the continuous fish pond, and from time to time a wave rose from the deep pond, and they didn't know whether it was a fish or a ghost. Help! Suddenly a scream came from a distance. In this dark and silent night, everyone's hair stood on end. It looks a bit like Yang Xingshui. Monkey was puzzled. Chen Qing suddenly remembered this name. This person was also a student of the same school and had tested his talent with him. Help! The cry for help came again, and this time the distance was much closer, and Monkey and He Runsheng heard it clearly. It's Yang Xingshui. Hurry up and take a look. The cry for help was shouted a few more times, and it seemed to be injured during this period, and it screamed. Soon, the three saw Yang Xingshui. A deep gash appeared on Yang Xingshui's head, blood gushed out, and his whole body was covered with blood. His arm was also broken, and it seemed that he had suffered multiple injuries. In front of him, Ji Yuxing was fighting fiercely with a ghost. This ghost looked ordinary, but he was agile, and he waved a black stick in his hand vigorously, beating Ji Yuxing without any resistance. "Master, this is a Wu Fu. If the master accepts it, he can be canonized as a Wu Zhuangyuan by the imperial decree." Huapi suddenly spoke. Chen Qing nodded. No wonder he was so strong. After testing the ghost meter, the ghost energy value was only 38. D-level wandering soul, but it could beat Ji Yuxing without any resistance. You should know that Ji Yuxing reached the soul movement earlier than the monkey, and his soul power was at least 70, but he was beaten by this ghost with only half of his own. Bang bang bang. Three muffled sounds again. Wu Fu's black stick always bypasses the Kunwu sword and hits Ji Yuxing accurately. Ji Yuxing is still as silent as usual. He just groaned, but did not give in. "Monkey, let's go." You step back. Monkey was startled, but still nodded and followed. Clang. A stick hit Chen Qing's Kunwu sword, and Chen Qing's hand shook slightly. Bang. A stick hit Chen Qing's wrist, shaking his whole hand numb, and he almost couldn't hold the Kunwu sword. More powerful than the soldier ghost. Chen Qing thought, relying on the protection of the painted skin, clang 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 clang, and forced Wu Fu back several steps. Ji Yuxing, fatty, send Yang Xingshui away. At this moment, Yang Xingshui was breathing out more than breathing in, and his face was pale. Ji Yuzheng's figure staggered and was seriously injured. If Chen Qing and the other two hadn't come, I'm afraid both of them would have died in Wu Fu's hands. Bang, bang, bang. Almost every blow from the warrior hit Chen Qing. Even though he was protected by the painted skin, he was still beaten so hard that his blood boiled. Chen Qing had just learned something from the soldier ghost, but he was no match for the warrior. Although he tried his best to dodge and block, 9 out of 10 blows hit him. Bang! Ah! The monkey screamed and fell to the ground. On the ground, a big cut was made on his brow bone, and blood immediately covered his face. Don't worry, I'll tell you to go ahead. Chen Qing warned him and attacked again. The martial artist's stick technique was extremely exquisite, and the stick head was almost always flashing close to Chen Qing's face. If he avoided it, he would hit his chest and waist with the stick. Bang, 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 over and over again. Chen Qing was so uncomfortable that he almost vomited blood. Not only physically, but also mentally. He couldn't understand how a ghost with a ghost energy value of 38 could force him to this point. If it weren't for the painted skin protecting his body, he would probably have lost all 3 lives. Whoosh! The stick tip went straight to his eyeballs again. Chen Qing's body suddenly leaned back. Then the Kunwu sword slashed horizontally, covering a large area. Wu Fu suddenly jumped up, and Chen Qing subconsciously stabbed into the air. Wu Fu's body was in the air, and the long stick blocked the Kunwu knife. Chen Qing gritted his teeth and smashed the long stick with his left fist. Bang! The long stick tilted to the side. The Kunwu knife pierced Wu Fu's chest. Swish! Chen Qing was slightly startled. He quickly stepped forward, kicked the long stick away, strangled Wu Fu's neck with both hands, and held Wu Fu's hands with his legs, shouting, "Come on!" The monkey was stunned, holding the Kunwu knife to behead. Chen Qing said angrily, "Contract! Contract!" The monkey was stunned for a moment, and suddenly woke up, came to Wu Fu, and began to perform the ghost contract technique. Once, it didn't work. Chen Qing shouted, "Don't stop, keep going." So, the second time, the third time, the fourth time. Soon it came to 10 times, and every contract was rejected by Wu Fu. The monkey's face turned pale, and he gradually showed signs of exhaustion. 11 times, 12 times. Finally, the monkey's body stiffened slightly, and his face showed ecstasy. "It's done. Ha ha ha, it's done." Hearing this, Chen Qing let go of Wu Fu. Wu Fu was silent and walked behind the monkey. "Awesome, awesome, awesome." The monkey looked at Wu Fu. "With this guy, I can walk sideways in the base." Chen Qing has a low emotional intelligence. He can't let go of hatred or favors, and he is always worried about small and big things. Monkey is his brother. He died for him in his previous life, so he must die to protect him. And Wu Fu is the perfect match. As long as the blood moon comes, he will use the imperial decree to canonize this Wu Fu as Wu Zhuangyuan. The monkey's combat power will be taken to a higher level. The two laughed at each other, and both formed a big shape and lay on the ground. The warrior went to pick up his long stick, but suddenly there was a heavy thud, and his body was kicked back. The two were startled. Looking back, they saw a big man rushing over. He was burly, agile, and holding a long stick. It was another Wu Fu. The sword was broken, and the sword was broken. Chen Qing's ghost watch swept over the warrior. 88. A-level wandering soul. A stick hit him on the head, with great force and heavy power, extremely terrifying. Chen Qing raised his hand to block. Dang! A heavy sound. Chen Qing's arms went numb, and the Kunwu knife flew out of his hand. The long stick was extremely agile, and the force was not used up. It turned in a direction in the air and hit Chen Qing's shoulder firmly. Bang! As if a car was pressing down, Chen Qing's body suddenly fell to the ground. Chen Qing. The monkey was startled, picked up the knife and jumped up, using all his strength to chop at the warrior. The warrior seemed to have eyes on his back, and his legs swept past lightly. Bang! The next moment, the monkey's body shot out like an arrow, hit the ground heavily and bounced several times, crashing into a pond full of mud. The mud splashed everywhere. The monkey's mouth was sweet, and he spit out a mouthful of blood, but struggled to get up and quickly crawled to the shore. At this time, the smaller warrior attacked the big warrior. The two of them clashed with their sticks, but after only a few hits, the small warrior was already in a state of defeat. The big warrior crushed the small warrior in all aspects, even in martial arts. There was no other way, so he could only use his ultimate move. Chen Qing shouted, "Zhang Kui." The next moment, a skinny Zhang Kui wearing a hospital gown appeared. Still looking at the sky with one eye and the warrior with the other. The big warrior's body shook violently, stiffened and slowly turned his head. Bang! The young warrior's long stick hit the big warrior's head hard. But its body also froze. In the big warrior's eyes, two eyeballs that moved freely were finally seen. "Ah, Wufu!" Both shouted at the same time. The big warrior's mind was broken, and he ran madly towards the distance, and his speed was 2 points faster than the last time the painted skin escaped. Zhang Kui took a step of 8 characters and chased him. Every time he took a step, his body bounced high. It was as if his body had no weight, just like the gravity of the moon seen on TV. The next moment, Chen Qing saw it clearly. On Zhang Kui's right foot, there was a golden slipper. It was the one that Jin Buhuan turned into. Chen Qing was slightly stunned. This golden slipper has superpowers. Last time, Zhang Kui's speed was completely unable to catch up with the painted skin, but this time he wore the golden slippers, and his speed increased by 2 levels. He chased into the fog in a few steps. Chen Qing was anxious, but the monkey was more important. Looking back, he saw the monkey crawling out of the mud pond, covered in mud and blood. "It won't die, it won't die. Go and chase it." Hearing this, Chen Qing rushed into the mist. After a moment, he saw Zhang Kui and Wufu. Zhang Kui rode on Wufu's neck, grabbed Wufu's hair, and grinned. With his unfriendly eyes, it was as stupid as it could be. Wufu was ridden on the head, his body was stiff, and his body was shaking like it was in 5th gear. "I told you to run." Pa! The slap didn't look heavy, but Wufu staggered, as if he had been hit by a truck, and fell heavily to the ground. Even Zhang Kui was thrown out. Zhang Kui was furious. "Master! Master! Hurry up and tell Master Zhang Kui to stop." Without time to ask, Chen Qing stood in front of Zhang Kui. "Stop! Get out of the way. I'll skin this guy." As soon as the words fell, the clothes and skin on the back of the warrior tore apart, and the skin was slowly pulled out, as if an invisible hand was peeling off its skin. The warrior screamed, but knelt on the ground and dared not move. "Zhang Kui, come back." Chen Qing quickly put away Zhang Kui. However, the warrior kept screaming, and the skin peeled off, and soon he became a skinless, pale corpse. He fell to the ground with a thud and died. This scene was too weird. Chen Qing shuddered. When the warrior died, his body turned into a black mist and entered the demon suppression tower. With a thought from Chen Qing, a starving ghost exploded into ghost energy, and the warrior took its place. As the warrior entered the demon suppression tower, Chen Qing felt that Zhang Kui had become much stronger. With a thought, Zhang Kui appeared in front of him. He scanned the ghost meter. 99, 98, 102, 96. The value kept changing around 99. After changing 2 ghosts, he had already reached the A-level wandering soul. If he changed a few more, would he be promoted to the evil ghost level, or would he enter the S-level wandering soul? That is the legendary, transcendence level. Chen Qing was shocked. He was now thinking about it. Zhang Kui's value is not randomly increased, but about 50% of the total value of the 12 ghosts. There are currently 12 ghosts in the Demon Suppression Tower. The highest is Wufu 88, followed by Bingui 61, plus 10 F-level Wandering Souls. The total is about 198. It is exactly twice that of Zhang Kui. It is really worth looking forward to. Chen Qing was looking forward to it, and suddenly thought of Huapi, and asked, "Just now you said to let Zhang Kui stop, why?" Huapi smiled bitterly. "Master, this is just a wandering soul, how can it withstand a few slaps from the great god Zhang Kui? Didn't you notice? After being slapped by Zhang Kui, Wufu's ghost value dropped by 7 or 8 points. Really?" Chen Qing was stunned, summoned Wufu, and tested the ghost meter. Sure enough, only 81. You dead Zhang Kui. If it weren't for the slap just now, you would either be promoted to the evil ghost level or become a wandering soul S level. Painted Skin said again. Master, I can see that the stronger the great god Zhang Kui is, the more magical powers he will find, and the stronger the magical powers will be. We have to work hard to improve. Chen Qing nodded. Now, let alone Zhang Kui and Painted Skin, even if there are no them, with the A-level Wandering Soul Wu Fu and the B-level Wandering Soul Bing Gui, he can walk sideways in this ghost domain. Okay, to be safe, I still should. After all, it's only been 2 hours since I met a pervert like Wu Fu. Who knows if there are others? Go back, go back, go back. Chen Qing's thoughts. Zhang Kui didn't know whether he didn't understand or didn't want to listen. His eyes rolled around and stood in front of him. One thought was forcibly put away. Zhang Kui quickly got out again. Quote. Okay, I don't want to compete with him. Quickly returned to the monkey. The monkey leaned against a wall weakly. Seeing Chen Qing return safely, he was also relieved. He looked at Zhang Kui, who was beside Chen Qing with a dazed look in his eyes. This. Ghost King. The Ghost King's appearance was not obvious. But the ghost appearance was obvious. The monkey was a little speechless, but when he thought of the abnormal martial artist who ran away as soon as this not-so-smart Ghost King appeared, it was indeed appropriate to call him Ghost King. You can't judge a person by his appearance. The monkey sighed. You didn't come to class much, so you didn't know the pressure Zhou Yangchao and Ji Luo put on us, but today I found out that you are the most hidden big boss. Chen Qing helped him up without refutation. The martial artist is very abnormal. I wonder if he can challenge Zhou Yangchao's evil ghost level. He helped the monkey to the side of the ambulance. There were already several people lying in the car. Yang Xingshui should be the most seriously injured. The nurse helped the monkey over very skillfully, immediately hung up the fluid, and took out the surgical instruments, presumably to suture the monkey's wound. Chen Qing turned around and walked towards the ghost realm again. The monkey was stunned. You still want to go? Yes. Chen Qing nodded. Tonight he must let Zhang Kui reach 100. He really wants to know, Zhang Kui will be promoted to evil ghost level. Or reach Wandering Soul S level. The two of them were so busy that they had to wait for the next few days. Looking at Zhang Kui, Wu Fu, and Bing Gui beside him, Chen Qing was very confident. As they were walking, Zhang Kui said, Ghost beads. Where are the ghost beads? I want to eat ghost beads. Since he knew that Zhang Kui could freely enter all floors of the demon suppression tower, Chen Qing took out the bag of ghost beads. But he didn't bring it with him today. I didn't bring it. Ghost beads. Ghost beads. Ghost beads. Ghost beads. Ghost beads. Ghost beads. Chen Qing was annoyed by the noise. The first floor of the demon suppression tower, go find it yourself. Zhang Kui suddenly jumped into the demon suppression tower on Chen Qing's chest. Painted Skin is used to it, and the warriors beside him are trembling with fear. He was skinned to death with just one sentence. What a terrifying existence. Ha 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 ha, ha ha ha, la 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 la. The laughter of a child suddenly came out. The voice was childish and sounded fun. But in this ghostland, it was extremely creepy. Child ghost. This kind of ghost is common, and Chen Qing is not unfamiliar with it. He drew his knife and slowly approached. However, when he came to the place where the sound came from, there was only a pool of blood. The place where the sound came from was clearly right in front of him. La la la. Mom, mom, love. The sound continued. Chen Qing felt warm all over, as if he was really lying in his mother's arms. Illusion. Walking around the sky quickly, driving away the warmth coming from all directions. In a trance, it seemed that someone was gently lifting his chin and smiling at him. Giggle. Mom, mom. Warmth filled his body, like the sun shining through the window, like warm water pouring on his body. La 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 la. The bodies of the soldier ghost and the warrior were frozen. The sound continued. Bright toys appeared in front of Chen Qing, red and green. There was a small train clacking forward on the track, and a soft big white rabbit pillowed behind him. A gentle voice read a bedtime story. Chen Qing bit his tongue hard. Severe pain. Everything in front of him returned to normal. Mom, mom, love. The dark ghostland was stained with warmth and covered with a thick quilt. An irresistible comfort came over him. Chen Qing forced himself to rush in one direction, and he finally saw a child wearing a bellyband. About 3 years old, barefoot and bare butt, 2 chubby little hands were holding a severed hand of an adult. There was blood all over his bellyband and the corners of his mouth. He gently fiddled with the fingers of the severed hand, smiled, and called in a baby voice, "Mom, Mom." Chen Qing did not hesitate. The blood spun from the kunwu knife. He chopped straight at the child ghost. The child ghost stood there stupidly, seemingly not knowing how to dodge. Puff! Ghost blood splattered everywhere. The kunwu knife chopped from the top of the head to the chin. "Mom, Mom," the child ghost called softly, and the severed hand fell to the ground. Chen Qing drew his knife and chopped again. The child ghost's head flew up, turned into a black gas and sank into the demon suppression tower. With a thought, a starving ghost shattered into ghost gas, making way for the child ghost. Chen Qing breathed a sigh of relief. Child ghosts are extremely strange, and at the same time, most of them are pitiful. A large part of them even died at the hands of their parents. They have longed for their mother's love, and this love will overflow on a large scale and affect the people around them. Adults are fine, but young children can hardly resist it. They will immerse themselves in this love and die happily. Fortunately, the flesh is fragile, and as long as you can find its location, you can easily kill it. Summon it out, and test the ghost meter. 92. Chen Qing was surprised. I didn't expect it to be an A-level wandering soul. The child ghost didn't seem to realize anything, with a pink smile on his pale face, and whispered in a baby voice, "Love, Mom, Mom." With this, Zhang Kui should have broken through, right? With expectation in his heart, Zhang Kui appeared in front of him with a thought. "Ghost Pearl. The Ghost Pearl has not been found yet," Zhang Kui said dissatisfiedly, and dived into the demon suppression tower again. Summoned again, the ghost meter was tested. 100. 102. 103. 102. Actually, no breakthrough. Logically, it should have reached around 145. Chen Qing muttered, "Is it so difficult to break through to S level?" Looking at the child ghost, Chen Qing was full of smiles. The biggest gain tonight. It may be a warrior, but the one that best suits Chen Qing is actually a child ghost. Because he knows the complete sequence of a child ghost's promotion to the evil spirit level. Child ghost night cry, fat baby. Not suitable as a main battle pet, but as an auxiliary ghost pet, the ability is extremely terrifying. Just like just now, even if it affects the opponent for a breath, the result is extremely terrifying. With a thought in his mind, he summoned the 12 ghost pets in the demon suppression tower. Crazy ghost, child ghost, soldier ghost, warrior, toilet ghost, long-tongued ghost, gambling ghost, tail follower, 2 air-eating ghosts, and 2 starving ghosts. Like a permutation and combination, he analyzed in his mind which ghosts would have a surprising effect when combined. At this time, a voice came from the distant fog. "Go, go, I dare not stay. That thing is too weird. I'm afraid it will take the captain to solve it." Chen Qing's mind moved, and he put away all the ghost pets, leaving only a starving ghost and a gas-eating ghost. After a moment, the 2 men saw Chen Qing. He subconsciously looked at the ghost watch and was slightly startled. Chen Qing, Zhou Yangchao, Ji Luo. These 3 people are masters in their eyes. How did they get 2 F-level trash? "What did you encounter?" Chen Qing asked. "I don't know." A newcomer was still in shock, "But it's terrible, many people have been controlled." "Don't say it. Let's go. Chen Qing, you come with us." Chen Qing shook his head. "You go first." The 2 nodded and left quickly. Chen Qing wanted to continue, but he was also afraid of the terrifying existence they were talking about. Released a few F-level trash to explore the way ahead. Soon, Chen Qing saw the next ghost. Hanged ghost. Dressed in white, hanging on a dead willow tree, with a rope tied to a branch as thick as a chopstick. His body seemed weightless, swinging back and forth with the breeze. The next moment, his eyes blurred. Chen Qing seemed to be in midair, with something around his neck, so tight that he couldn't breathe. He looked to the side. Isn't this the old willow tree where the hanged ghost was hanging? He was horrified. He looked at the ground. There were warriors, soldier ghosts, and himself standing on the ground. The Chen Qing on the ground, with blood-red lips, was smiling at him. The wounded man was lying on the ground, and the wound was so tight that he could not make any sound. Chen Qing wanted to speak, but the white silk around his neck made it so that he could not make any sound. Chen Qing shouted in his heart, "Painted skin." Painted Skin was startled, and suddenly realized something. The person she was wrapped in a skin bag had been replaced. But the hanged ghost was undoubtedly walking into a trap. Painted Skin confirmed that it was not Chen Qing, and suddenly tightened it. Caw caw caw. Puff. The hanged ghost was crushed all over. The hanged ghost inside Painted Skin had exploded into a ball of flesh and blood. Then he suddenly jumped up, cut off the white silk with his sharp claws, and put Chen Qing down. The hanged ghost in the Painted Skin turned into a pool of black mist, which was completely integrated into the demon suppression tower, leaving nothing behind. The Painted Skin then turned back to its pale appearance like plaster, and entered Chen Qing's chest, covering Chen Qing's entire body again. Chen Qing was still afraid. If there was no Painted Skin, even if there were warriors and soldier ghosts, he would probably die here. This hanged ghost could exchange positions silently, and his ability was extremely strange. Chen Qing was really scared at this moment. Although the evil ghosts had been eliminated, it was only half a night, and he had already encountered so many evil ghosts. Child ghosts, hanged ghosts, soldier ghosts, warriors, no matter which one, they were all very tricky. At this moment, the black mist that the hanged ghost turned into was swaying around in the demon suppression tower. With a thought from Chen Qing, the starving ghost exploded into ghost energy, making room for the hanged ghost. Summon the hanged ghost, who was dressed in white, with the white silk around his neck tied to a small branch in the air. Chen Qing's mind moved. It seems that the white silk of the hanged ghost must have a support point. A test with the ghost meter. 72. B-level wandering soul. Zhang Kui should have broken through, right? With a thought, Zhang Kui immediately appeared. The ghost meter was aimed at him. 100, 102, 100. The value is still fluctuating, and it still can't break through 100. Chen Qing was speechless, but this also proves the rarity of S-level from the side. Retracting his mind, he led the hanged ghost, the soldier ghost, and the warrior all the way to the pond. The hanged ghost's body was still floating in the air, but the two white silks around his neck were like two octopus tentacles, floating and entangled with the tree beside the pond. It really needs something to lean on to stay in the air, but as long as it has something to lean on, even a toothpick-thick branch can support it. This time Chen Qing's target is the drowned ghost. Like the child ghost, Chen Qing knows the complete sequence of the drowned ghost, so he naturally has to give priority to it. Wandering soul level, drowned ghost, evil ghost level, water monkey, evil spirit level, kappa. The drowned ghost is extremely weak on the shore, but when it reaches the evil ghost level, it can almost be invincible in the water. The Zhongpan community is facing the river, so there must be one. After all, it is in the ghost domain, and there are many ghosts. Soon I saw one. It is roughly human-shaped, but the four palms are larger, there are webbed fingers, and there are scales and hair on the back, which looks very strange. Chen Qing is more familiar with the drowned ghost, and it looks almost like a human when it is born. As the strength increases, the body shape will become more and more like a combination of an otter and a water lizard. The one in front of him only had half of its head exposed above the water, looking at Chen Qing vigilantly. Looking at its forehead and hair like a human, this one's strength is definitely not high. Sure enough, the ghost meter measured it, and it was only 45. Chen Qing immediately walked forward again. Then he met the second and third ones, and their strength was not strong. At this time, in the deep pond not far away, the water surface was suddenly turned up with several muffled waves. A huge tail was vaguely seen. What made Chen Qing feel creepy was that the tail was tied around a person's neck. In a trance for a moment, he didn't see it clearly, but Chen Qing remembered that this person was one of the newcomers of the Ghost Control Army this year. The body was a little swollen from being soaked in water, and it might have been dead for several hours. No matter what kind of ghost, if you want to advance, you must have a spiritual guide. The spiritual guide may be a few spiritual stones, a few ghost beads, or some conditions. And the spiritual guide for the drowned ghost to advance is the conditional spiritual guide, drowning 9 people. I wonder how many it has completed. Chen Qing thought about how to deal with it. He immediately had a countermeasure. With a thought, the painted skin fell off Chen Qing. Then he turned into an ordinary young man and came to the water's edge without any hurry. He washed up comfortably by the water. Chen Qing couldn't see the drowned ghost, but he knew it could definitely see this scene. But the drowned ghost was cautious by nature, and he didn't know if it would be fooled. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The drowned ghost did not appear. Time passed slowly, and for a full half hour, the drowned ghost did not make any movement. The painted skin simply pretended to take a nap. Suddenly, a black spot in the water suddenly enlarged. Wow! A large splash of water exploded. It was like a big crocodile jumping out of the water. The long tail instantly wrapped around the painted skin and was about to drag it into the water. Even if the painted skin had been on guard, it did not expect it to be so fast. Before it could think about it, its nails immediately grew longer and pierced into the soil. The drowned ghost dragged the painted skin forward about 1 meter, and the painted skin's nails plowed 10 1-meter-long cuts on the ground. The drowned ghost saw that the situation was not right, and immediately let go of the painted skin to escape. But, the next moment, a figure in white suddenly appeared in the water. And the drowned ghost, with a white silk wrapped around his neck, was strangled in the air. The warrior stepped forward and hit him hard with a stick. Bang! The drowned ghost's forehead, which was covered with fine scales, immediately cracked and sunken. The warrior hit him hard with a stick again. Bang! The drowned ghost died. He turned into a mist and entered the demon-suppressing tower. He controlled a gas-eating ghost to make room for the drowned ghost. The hanged ghost who had switched positions in the water had a face full of grievances, and climbed up the shore wetly, motionless, not knowing whether he was dazed or angry. The next moment, with a thought, the drowned ghost appeared in front of him. From the outside, this drowned ghost almost looked like a human. It looked like a combination of an otter and a small lizard, with a dark face, and some human features could be vaguely seen, but it looked more like an orangutan. The tail was twice as long as the body, with edges and corners, like a crocodile's tail. The drowned ghost was still in a daze at this moment. After all, he was in the water the previous second, and appeared in the air the next second and was beaten to death by 2 black sticks. Anyone would be confused. The ghost meter was tested. 100. It was indeed in the state of promotion. Chen Qing asked, "How many people have you drowned?" The drowned ghost was still confused. "You drowned how many people?" Chen Qing asked again. The drowned ghost made a hoarse sound and stretched out 8 fingers. Most ghosts become more intelligent as their strength increases, but the drowned ghost is different. It will gradually lose the ability to speak until it becomes an evil spirit level Kappa. Wow, didn't I pick up an evil ghost? Chen Qing nodded and took back the drowned ghost. Zhang Kui was summoned again. It's so hot, so hot, so hot, so hot, so hot, so hot. Zhang Kui rolled all over the ground as soon as he came out. His skin was flushed, and he beat his chest and stomped the ground. Is this a breakthrough? Chen Qing seemed to have realized something and thought of something. He took back all the ghost pets with one thought. Zhang Kui has the strange ability of words come true. If he yells, all of you die. Except for himself as the master, he is fine. I am afraid that the ghost pets that I have worked hard to save will be squandered by him. After a while, Zhang Kui finally stopped. Then, as if nothing happened, he stood up and stretched out his hand covered with mud. Ghost beads. I want to eat ghost beads. Corpse King nails. I want Corpse King nails. I know you have them, hurry up. You can only eat them if you are obedient. I am obedient, very obedient. Be obedient, dear, we won't eat them. As Chen Qing spoke, the ghost watch pointed to Zhang Kui. 114, 147, 189, 211. The value jumped wildly and finally stopped at around 212. A line of red warning appeared on the ghost watch. S-level wandering soul. Extremely dangerous. The previous wave of failures failed to break through, but this time it broke through to 212. S-level. Seeing the words, extremely dangerous, Chen Qing was full of joy. Calculating the ghost energy value carefully. Drowned ghost 100. Child ghost 92. Warrior 82, originally 88, 6 lost by Zhang Kui's slap. Hanged ghost 72. Soldier ghost 61. Add the 7 garbage, and the total is almost twice that of Zhang Kui. If all 12 reach 100, can Zhang Kui reach SS? SSS. I can't even imagine it. Ghost bead. Give me the ghost bead. Zhang Kui was shouting again. His strength had improved so much, but his appearance and facial features were still as usual and carefree. Chen Qing looked at his golden slipper and thought deeply. This golden slipper was in the presidential suite, and it was worth a lot. It actually awakened. Take it off, let me see. Zhang Kui immediately took 2 steps back. Mine. I know yours, take it off first. Mine, Zhang Kui emphasized again. Chen Qing was so angry that his teeth itched. Suddenly thought of Li Ba's golden body. With a thought, Li Ba's golden corpse appeared in front of him. The same posture as when he put it in. But the 2 arms were broken at the root. As the ghost energy permeated, the golden corpse actually moved. The golden corpse might want to stand up, but it had no hands. It rolled and struggled on the ground for a while before slowly standing up. His eyes were dull, standing still. Chen Qing was a little confused. Could it be that Jin Buhuan could awaken even if he turned into gold? Then wouldn't the golden duck he sold be a huge loss? Golden body. Wow, what a big golden body. Zhang Kui's eyes glowed, and he took a few steps forward, touching left and right. Golden body. What's the use? Wow, golden body. Zhang Kui was completely unable to communicate. Master, you actually have a golden body. Painted Skin's words revealed a sense of shock. What's the use? Golden body, to some extent, means cultivation. Regardless of immortals, demons, gods and Buddhas, those who have golden bodies are extremely terrifying. For example, Buddha, Jade Emperor, Great Sage. Every time a name was mentioned, Chen Qing felt his eyelids jump. Master, put it away first, this is too dangerous. Chen Qing put it away immediately. Painted Skin said again. Golden body is one of the strongest Dharma images, such as the 10 Zhang golden body, the 8 treasure golden body, the relic golden body, etc., but I can't tell the difference between this golden body and the other. After all, I have only heard of it but never seen it. Maybe, Master Zhang Kui knows. Zhang Kui was full of impatience. Yuan embryo golden body. Yuan embryo golden body. Give it back to me. As he said that, he chased the golden body into the demon suppression tower. Yuan embryo golden body. That means the master can refine it into the body. The so-called invincible golden body refers to this, with very strong attack and defense power. I just don't know who made the move, and he was able to cut off the 2 arms of this golden body. I'm afraid his cultivation is already heaven-shattering. Chen Qing was so angry. If I had known this, I would never have cut off Li Ba's 2 arms even if I died. Without arms, what use is this golden body no matter how strong it is? Iron head skill, diamond leg. Just as he was getting irritated, there was a rustling sound nearby. A starving ghost opened his bright eyes and slowly crawled towards this side. Then, there was the sound of bone marrow colliding. A skeleton staggered towards this side. Then, there was a constant sound of splashing in the pond, and one drowned ghost after another crawled out of the pond. It's bad. Master, go. The golden body has an unparalleled attraction to the ghost clan. Chen Qing immediately understood, turned around and ran away. But after running a few steps, a ghost who had given birth appeared in front of him. A large piece of something that was not sure whether it was meat or intestines fell from his crotch, and his stomach had a big hole, and a fetus was gesturing inside his stomach. Chen Qing did not dare to delay. He ran around the ghost who had given birth. Dingla, dingla, but Chen Qing's body froze. The Kunwu sword fell to the ground, and his hands were raised up involuntarily, and he jumped very stiffly. Dingla, the warrior and the soldier ghost also became stiff, raised their hands and jumped like zombies. Oh no, it's the corpse driver. The Painted Skin sounded anxious. If it were normal, he could slowly entangle with it, but now more and more ghosts are rushing over. The Painted Skin has no bones, so it is naturally useless to her. The body seems to be flowing with liquid, and her ears are filled with. The sound was almost inaudible. Chen Qing could no longer control himself. He looked around. The fog was too thick to see where the corpse driver was. Ha, ha. Suddenly, there were flashes of fire and blood in the fog, as if something was fighting. The next moment, a small figure broke through the fog and punched. It hit the ghost on the back. The ghost's body was like snow burned by fire, and a large piece of it melted instantly. Chen Qing was stunned. Chen Man. Chen Man was full of fighting spirit. He kept punching the ghost. The small fists burst out with amazing killing power. Every punch was like a cannonball exploding. Many sunken scorch marks appeared on the ghost's body. Each move was very methodical, and the ghost retreated again and again. The ghost was furious, and its belly suddenly swelled. The fetus inside shot out like an arrow and rushed straight to Chen Man's face. Chen Qing was shocked and rushed a few steps. But Chen Man kicked the ghost and made it retreat continuously. His other hand had already grabbed the fetus' neck. The fetus struggled madly and scratched everywhere. Chen Man threw it heavily on the ground and stepped on it. Caw! The fetus's entire face was sunken, and it cried vaguely, looking for the ghost everywhere. The ghost seemed crazy and rushed towards Chen Man desperately. Chen Qing finally arrived and cut it with a knife. The ghost's head soared into the sky, and it turned into a black mist and drilled into the demon suppression tower. Why did you run away again? Don't be impulsive. Han Yuan chased after him with a curse. Ding! The bell rang again. This time, Chen Qing finally saw the corpse driver. In the mist, he wore a tall Taoist hat, holding a talisman in one hand and a bell in the other, shaking it with every step. Behind him followed many ghosts and people, jumping stiffly with his steps. Han Yuan didn't seem to block his ears, but with the support of his huge blood and qi, he managed to get through it and rushed towards the corpse-driving official with his sword. Chen Qing also arrived at the same time. Two swords, one up and one down, slashed at the corpse-driving official at the same time. The corpse-driving official quickly retreated, shaking the bell in his hand, and the ghosts behind him jumped and attacked the two. And Chen Man was already surrounded by ghosts. Fortunately, the warrior and the soldier ghost had recovered their ability to move. The two rushed into the battle group, hitting the ghosts one by one with a stick. Chen Qing bit the corpse-driving official tightly, so that it had no time to shake the bell. And Han Yuan's Kunwu sword burst into flames, and he was quickly clearing the ghosts with one sword. At this time, Chen Qing's ears were buzzing, and waves of strange Sanskrit sounds filled the world. Even if he blocked his ears, a sentence still clearly entered Chen Qing's ears. Luanyu Fengjia, living beings avoid. All the ghosts stopped and knelt on the ground in panic. In the mist, 2 rows of palace maids came slowly, sprinkling flowers. The palace maids had no facial features, and their faces were smooth without any ups and downs. The scattered petals were suspended 1 foot high, building a suspended bridge. Luanyu Fengjia, living beings avoid. Following the sound, teams of etiquette officers held avoidance signs. These etiquette officers also had no facial features and their faces were smooth. Then, 4 golden horses came slowly on the petal bridge. The golden horses pulled a magnificent carriage, and the carriage was piled with gold, silver, jewelry, agate and jade, which were countless. Let's go. Chen Qing, take Chen Man with you. Boom. There was an explosion. A phantom of a furious Vajra appeared on Han Yuan's body, which was 6 or 7 feet tall. At the same time, the flames on the Kunwu sword changed, mixed with a hint of gold. Han Yuan casually slashed, and the Kunwu sword cut deep gullies on the ground, with blazing flames burning in them, illuminating the dark sky. Behind is my Tang dynasty. Yin objects are forbidden. But the palace maids did not stop. The etiquette officer did not stop. The motorcade did not stop. The momentum of the two collided with each other. The motorcade did not hinder at all, and the phantom of the Vajra exploded in the air. Han Yuan spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out backwards. The phoenix carriage, all living beings, get out of the way. Suddenly, a huge hole was torn in the sky, and a rusty sword that stood tall and straight was inserted straight down, blocking in front of the army. The faceless palace maid hit it first. Then the body melted away, and after more than 10 palace maids melted in succession. The convoy slowly stopped. Who gave you the courage to run out of the tomb again? A figure came from the air. Looking up, a middle-aged man in a blood-red robe sat on the hilt of a sword, looking lazily at the convoy below. The man on the hilt was wearing a blood-red battle robe, and he looked very heroic, but he had an apron around his waist and a spatula in his hand, as if he had just been cooking. It felt very strange. Chen Qing, go! Han Yuan shouted at Chen Qing, but Chen Qing's ears were blocked by the painted skin and he heard nothing. Han Yuan rushed over in a few steps, holding Chen Qing in one hand and Chen Man in the other, and quickly left here. Chen Qing finally reacted, knocked on his ears, and the painted skin immediately withdrew. Just now, what was that? Is that convoy the princess? That sword, and that person, who is it? Chen Qing had countless questions in his mind, and he was eager to get answers. Leave here first. Han Yuan's face was pale, but he was still very fast. If we fight, we will die. Soon, the two of them left the ghost area. There were already many newcomers outside, but they all looked very ugly at the moment. People died, and a lot of them died. They may not have expected such a scene, or, they expected it, but they didn't expect it to be so tragic. When the faces that were still talking and laughing a few hours ago lay here coldly, they were all silent. Joining the Ghost Control Army will kill people. They suddenly remembered what Wukong said on the first day they joined the team. The monkey's forehead was already wrapped in gauze, but the blood still seeped out, staining a piece. His voice was a little low. Yang Xingshui died. Chen Qing looked up a little confused. What? 5 people died, and there are still 6 inside. I don't know if they can get out. Yes, with so many ghosts, there will definitely be deaths. Chen Qing muttered in his heart. Several soldiers of the Ghost Control Army came over and put the 5 newcomers into body bags. Han Yuan came to the body bag in silence and waved to the soldiers. The soldiers stopped what they were doing. Han Yuan watched silently and whispered. Li Aowang joined the Ghost Control Army for 7 days, 19 years old. Came to the next body bag. Dai Shud joined the Ghost Control Army for 7 days, 18 years old. Yang Xingshui joined the Ghost Control Army for 7 days, 19 years old. Huang Jing joined the Ghost Control Army for 7 days, 19 years old. Zhang Tiantian joined the Ghost Control Army for 7 days, 18 years old. Ji Yuxing sat in the ambulance, his eyes empty, dazed. Seeing Han Yuan coming, Ji Yuzing's empty eyes finally showed some ripples. Captain, I didn't protect him well. I'm sorry. The usually taciturn boy leaned his arms against the wall, buried his face in his arms, and sobbed, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can never protect anyone. Han Yuan sat beside him silently. When I was in the Qi and Blood realm, my fiancé died in front of me. Ji Yuxing was startled and shocked. He raised his head and saw a pair of eyes that shouldn't have such sorrow. Although they have known each other for a short time, the captain has always been upright. My father and mother are all dead. Han Yuan's tone was a little lonely. Later, I worked hard to practice, and the people I wanted to protect never died in front of me again. Han Yuan said, and left the ambulance. 4 more people returned later, and 2 more may stay in the ghost domain forever. On the way back, all the cars were silent. In the first mission, 6 people died. Only 35 people were left. Keep doing this, another 7 times, and we'll all be dead. In the carriage, the silence was finally broken. Hong Ya waved her fists and gritted her teeth. I don't understand such a mission. I will never accept such consequences. Human lives are at stake. Human lives are at stake. I can accept your devilish training at ordinary times, but now people are dead. Even Zhang Tiantian is dead. She's a girl. Originally, everyone was just silent, but when they heard this, someone suddenly frowned. Hong Ya, are you sick? Are you crazy from boxing? Zhang Tiantian is a girl, so her life is life. What are the other 5 boys? You, who are you calling a fool? I'm talking about you. I usually tolerate you when you box, but you dare to box in an occasion like this today. Okay, come on. Duel. Pa. Hong Ya was slapped hard on the face. How dare you hit me? You want to fight? Come on. Don't think I won't hit you just because you're a woman. Stop it. That's enough. Quote. The carriage immediately became a mess. In Han Yuan's car, Chen Qing was silent. It's not that he's used to seeing life and death, but he might really be numb to this kind of scene. But he couldn't help but remain silent. The sword today was one of the 8 pillars, the broken sword. The one carried by that team of ghosts was the evil spirit level princess. Originally, the princess had been sealed at the bottom of the tomb, and the surrounding area had been cleared, but the ghost energy has skyrocketed in the past few days, and there are many more ghosts around Ziming City, and there is a trend of continued growth. Not only the anti-ghost army, but also the ghost-killing team suffered heavy losses. Quote. Chen Qing listened silently. The blood moon is getting closer and closer. In a few days, the entire Ziming city will become another ghost domain, and it will last longer. The number and strength of the ghosts will be several orders of magnitude stronger, and 99% of those facing all this are ordinary people. Thinking of this, he became anxious. In the car, Han Yuan made and received dozens of calls. It can be seen that the situation is very bad everywhere. The Ghost Control Army and the Ghost Extermination Team are like a house that is about to collapse in a storm. They may have hope. But Chen Qing knows that this storm will get worse and worse. Bigger and bigger, and the blood moon is the last thunder that overwhelms this house. Chen Qing suddenly thought about what he should do if he was the decision maker. After thinking for a long time, there was almost only one choice. Shrink the power and abandon most of the population. But, for those who were abandoned, why? In this world, you can only take care of your family. Back to the dormitory, Chen Qing's consciousness sank into the second floor of the demon suppression tower. With a thought, he summoned the painted skin. Chen Qing asked, "Is that golden body of your ghost clan very useful?" Yes, Painted Skin nodded heavily. I think the master has also seen that the riot in the ghost domain today is probably because of this golden body. If you can completely digest this golden body, the wandering soul level can also reach the evil spirit level. Chen Qing nodded, and asked again, "If you put this golden body here, will it be useful for you to practice here?" Quote. Of course, this is a great opportunity for ordinary ghosts like us. Chen Qing nodded, and with a thought, the armless golden body appeared in front of him. Then he released all 12 ghosts. As soon as the ghosts appeared here, they all went crazy. The drowned ghost, the child ghost, the warrior, the hanged ghost, and the soldier ghost immediately pounced on the gold. The other 7 F-level ghosts had fanatical eyes, but they were all easily beaten away by the first 5. Chen Qing frowned and shouted, "Back off." He was the owner of the Demon Suppression Tower. This is the inner world of the Demon Suppression Tower. Chen Qing is almost equivalent to a god. The ghosts dared not make trouble again. They all retreated a little and looked at the golden body eagerly. Chen Qing looked at the painted skin. "You come to arrange the seats. Whoever dares to mess around will be killed directly." The painted skin nodded solemnly. "I understand." The morning lap task was quite easy. It was only at this time that I learned that 8 newcomers chose to withdraw this morning. So, there were only 27 people left. For the 6 people who died yesterday, a not-so-grand memorial service was held to posthumously confer the title of martyr. After attending, Chen Qing went back to the dormitory and lay down, and entered the second floor of the Demon Suppression Tower. The ghosts sat around the golden body in different postures, with obsessed expressions. "Wu Fu," Chen Qing called Wu Fu. Wu Fu stood up, a little confused. "Teach me Kung Fu." Oh, Wu Fu could understand what Chen Qing meant, but he was in the wandering soul stage and his intelligence was not high. Wu Fu obviously has top-notch stick and fist techniques, but it is a luxury to teach Chen Qing. Chen Qing had no choice but to let the painted skin possess him. "Come, fight. Fight." This is what Wu Fu likes and is best at. At that moment, the two began to fight fiercely with sticks and knives. However, so far, Chen Qing has only encountered Wu Fu a few times. And Wu Fu's long sticks, 8 out of 10 sticks can hit Chen Qing firmly. Time flies, and a day passes quickly. In the evening, the first exam came. Everyone sat upright. The monkey whispered, "Chen Qing, this is a ghost pet competition. It is related to future assignments. After we graduate here, I heard that we will go to various community defense circles in Ziming City to serve as town guards. The town guards should be selected in order of grades. The better your grades, the better community defense you can choose. If you can get first place, you can directly choose our own community. It's also good for taking care of your family. There is no impenetrable wall in the world. Even if you try your best to conceal it, through various signs, those who are smart can see that the world is not peaceful. Fortunately, prices are still stable, the supply chain is stable, and the overall situation is still under control." Chen Qing nodded to show that he understood. On the other side, Chen Kun looked at Chen Qing and sneered, "Brother Luo, I have already found out that 2 newcomers saw Chen Qing's ghost pet last night. Both were F-level ghost pets. I don't know what this idiot was thinking. Anyway, He has ruined his future. Ji Luo also sneered. Originally, he had no grudges against me, and I was too lazy to deal with him. The mistake was that he shouldn't have entangled Xiao Shi. No matter who it is, if he dares to entangle Xiao Shi, he is forcing me to destroy him. Hearing this, Chen Kun's eyes were full of joy. His strategy worked. Ji Luo fell in love with Chen Shi at first sight. Ji Luo came from a prominent family. From childhood to adulthood, he had been locked up in an ivory tower to study and practice hard. As soon as he left the ivory tower, he met a woman of Chen Zai's level and was easily controlled. Chen Shi coaxed him to the sky with a smile and a good night. In the past few days, Chen Kun, intentionally or unintentionally, revealed that Chen Qing was pursuing Chen Shi and had been pestering him, even to the police station. How could Ji Luo not be angry? He beat up his future uncle, almost imprisoned his future wife for 3 years, and forced his future mother-in-law to be slapped several times. He would never forgive Chen Qing for any of these. Ji Luo had learned the art of war and knew that, knowing yourself and the enemy will ensure victory in 100 battles, so he had been secretly asking about Chen Qing's background. Originally, he was still a little afraid of Chen Qing. But after learning about his 2F level wandering ghost's garbage ghost pets last night, he dropped all his defenses. He must be destroyed today. Wukong is here. His tone was heavy. Please observe a 5-minute silence for the 6 classmates who died yesterday. 5 minutes later. I think everyone has felt that there are more and more ghosts now, and they are coming more and more frequently. Although you don't want to, some of you will keep leaving. Wukong sighed. Let me tell you the rules again. Your final score will be composed of 3 parts: your usual performance, the degree of participation and completion of the task, and the test score. Today's competition adopts an elimination system, and the students with high scores will be given priority for the buys. Let's start the draw. Zhou Yangchao, Ji Luo, Chen Qing, and Chen Kun all had buys in the first round. The first group to appear was Hong Ya and He Runsheng. Fearing that he would be eliminated, He Runsheng ventured into the ghost domain for the second time last night and contracted a sick ghost of an E-level wandering soul. Hong Ya's was a D-level wandering soul toilet ghost and a D-level wandering soul long-tongued ghost. There was almost no suspense about the outcome. Unexpectedly, He Runsheng acted very strong, commanding his garbage sick ghost, and he hit Hong Ya in the face. But that was all. He Runsheng lost quickly, and Hong Ya was furious and rushed up. Are you a cheap man? Do you know how to behave like a gentleman? With such a big gap in strength, you don't admit defeat, and you slap me to disgust me. Go, you, He Runsheng, I will never stop fighting you. Hong Ya cursed. He Runsheng was upset. However, when the result was announced, everyone was stunned. Wukong said calmly, draw. Why? Hong Ya's anger, which had just subsided a little, was instantly ignited. Calling you teacher, is that giving you face? Why? Just because you are both men. Are you going to protect this inferior man? Others also felt that this result was unexpected, but seeing Hong Ya's attitude, they all shut up again. Wukong has a calm personality, but he frowned after being repeatedly beaten by Hong Ya. If it's a real battle, you will both die together. Hong Ya stroked the red mark on her face and suddenly thought of something. I advise you to go to the base medical room. Hong Ya was furious and pointed at He Runsheng and cursed, Bah! You are so mean. Only you would choose such a sick ghost. Perfect match. Wukong frowned. If you don't go, your face will probably be lost. Hong Ya was furious, but she really didn't dare to delay any longer and ran out of the martial arts arena at a high speed. There were no upsets in the following battles. It was Monkey's turn to play next. The opponent he drew was Wu Ming. The soul power was around 70, which was a little higher than Monkey. Wu Ming's 2 ghost pets, AC level wandering soul starving ghost, and AD level wandering soul lightning ghost. The lightning ghost is quite rare, with a charred body, and pale flesh under the charred appearance, and from time to time, a small arc of electricity flashed. Monkey, you should admit defeat. Although this lightning ghost is only D level, its combat power is not inferior to any C level. I got it by luck. The monkey was silent and summoned the warrior. Many people immediately used the ghost watch to detect. 38. Wandering soul D level. Wu Ming frowned and looked at the monkey with unkind eyes. Monkey, you have no chance of winning. The lightning ghost is terrible when it explodes, but it needs to accumulate lightning power. I don't want to waste it on you. My opponent is Zhou Yang, Chao Jiluo, Chen Qing. Why are you forcing me? Wu Ming was furious. Okay. Then it's as you wish. After that, the lightning ghost rushed out with arcs of electricity. The warrior's long stick lightly poked the lightning ghost's face. With a click, the charcoal-like face of the lightning ghost shattered. The warrior kicked the lightning ghost away with a carefree kick, and it shot towards Wu Ming like an arrow. Wu Ming was shocked. The starving ghost immediately protected him. His fangs were exposed. The warrior's long stick fell heavily, and the starving ghost stretched out his hand to block it. The long stick slightly deviated, and with two muffled sounds, it hit the starving ghost's eyes. The starving ghost screamed and fell to the ground, and the warrior's long stick was already fixed in front of Wu Ming. Wu Ming was sweating coldly and his face was pale. If the long stick went in an inch further, his eyeballs would be popped. I give up, Wu Ming said in a trembling voice. Thinking of all the big words he said 10 seconds ago, his face turned blue and red, and he wished he could get into a hole in the ground. The warrior put away his long stick. Chen Qing was thoughtful. What he was thinking just now was, why doesn't this stick hit it down? And then he realized that this group of people were just ordinary people with stronger abilities. They had not experienced darkness and life and death like himself. Maybe their love and hatred now only came from a few quarrels or disputes as small as dust. But Chen Qing, he really knows how to kill. A ghost pet with a ghost energy value of 38, with an absolutely overwhelming momentum, knocked down 2 ghost pets, one of which was higher than itself, and the other was a rare thunder-struck ghost. This kind of record immediately made the entire martial arts field uproar. What kind of ghost is this? It's so strong. It's a bit perverted. Is my ghost watch broken? You told me that this ghost pet is only D level. Does anyone know what kind of ghost this is? This is simply a data monster. Instant kill, real instant kill. Wukong was also a little stunned. Except for places like the Princess Tomb, the ghosts in other places are basically common ghosts. This is also the first time he has seen such a ghost. What kind of ghost is this? Wu Fu, I want to get one too. With one like this, I'm invincible. +1, +1. Everyone was making a noise. But the monkey waved his hand. I advise everyone not to think about this kind of ghost. I have the help of a master. If the person who got this ghost didn't have that expert, he would have died several times. Quote. Everyone was slightly stunned. That's right. Such a strong person, if he came hard, he would not know how he died. The strength was too much. Wukong waved his hand. Next group. Soon, the first round was over. 8 groups, 9 were selected to enter the next round. In addition to the 5 people who were given a bye, such as Chen Qing, there were 2 more people who were given a bye in this round. Chen Qing, Zhou Yangchao. This time, everyone was stunned. The ranking in their eyes has always been Zhou Yangchao, Ji Luo, Chen Qing, Chen Kun. But Chen Qing was ranked first. Teacher Wu, is it wrong? Chen Kun frowned. It's a question whether Chen Qing can be ranked third. Why is he ranked before Luo Zhe now? Wukong shook his head. The score was given by He Chang, and the captain has also seen it. If you have any objections, you can raise it with the captain. Quote. Chen Qing suddenly smiled. Chen Kun, how about we have a fight? I'll call you daddy if I lose. Chen Kun was stunned. His face turned ugly. Chen Qing, who had contracted 2 garbage F-level wandering souls, was definitely not his opponent. However, he was traumatized by the last time he was beaten by Chen Qing. He hated Chen Qing, but he was more afraid of Chen Qing. He didn't know why. The timid Chen Qing seemed to become strong and cold overnight. It's just, in this situation, if he got scared, where would he put his face? Ji Luo whispered. His 2 F-level wandering souls, you can fight them casually, the only threat is his own close hands, but what do you have? Even if 10 Chen Qings get close to you, they will definitely not be your opponents. Chen Kun's face gradually turned cold, and he sneered, okay. Then I'll go and destroy him. At that moment, Chen Kun stood up. Teacher Wu, does our challenge count? Yes, okay, Chen Qing, don't regret it. Quote. Chen Kun came to the center of the field, waved his hand, and summoned his 2 ghost pets. One was a ghost, with a ghost energy value of 55, and AC level wandering soul. Then, a tiger skin-like thing appeared and stuck to Chen Kun from the back. The tiger's head covered Chen Kun's head, and the skin of the 4 legs covered Chen Kun. What is this? Can this ghost protect the body? Master, be careful, this is a Chong. Chong. Chen Qing suddenly understood. Is it the Chong that is a tiger's Chong? Yes, it can greatly enhance strength and defense. How about comparing with you? Master, you look down on me. No matter what, I have a half magical power. How can it be compared with a low-level ghost like it? Quote. One magical power is false form. Half of the magical power is indestructible. Although the latter is only half, so far, Chen Qing has not encountered anything that can destroy it. The ghost possessed him, and Chen Kun's momentum changed. Very confident, very arrogant. He grinned. Chen Qing, today I will let you know how to write the word, death. Chen Qing's face was calm, and with a thought, the warrior and the hanged ghost appeared behind him. The 2 white silks on the neck of the hanged ghost were draped on the lights on the top of the martial arts field. The white clothes fluttered gently, like a jellyfish floating in the air. The warrior's long stick was across his shoulders, and his 2 hands were on the stick, with a calm face. Ji Luo and Chen Kun's faces changed. Hanged ghost. There is also a warrior. How, isn't it the garbage ghost pet of the F-level wandering soul? Another warrior is here. It seems to be more powerful than the monkey's one. This warrior is 83. A-level wandering soul. In theory, the hanged ghost looks more weird, but after seeing the monkey, everyone's attention is on this warrior. He Runsheng murmured. The great god is worthy of being the great god. Chen Kun also felt timid, but he could not turn back at this moment. He shouted angrily. What's the matter? Come on. Quote. The ghost's attack was sharp, and with the fetus in her belly, it was like 1 against 2. With the ghost in her body, she could attack or be defeated, and was completely invincible. Chen Kun kept giving himself courage, seeing that the warrior was no longer afraid. The white silk of the hanged ghost grew longer, and his body dropped in front of the warrior. The warrior moved. He swung the long stick, but he hit the hanged ghost. Woo! A heavy stick. Bang! Crack! The sound of the long stick hitting the flesh. And, the sound of bones breaking. Everyone was stunned. Why did this warrior hit his teammate? Is he crazy? Ah! The man who was beaten screamed, staggered, struggled, and rolled away. Everyone was even more confused. Hear this voice. Chen Kun. The next moment, someone exclaimed, Diao Diao. Chen. They switched positions. Chen Kun and the hanged ghost have swapped positions. The hanged ghost's white silk was attached to different objects like a tentacle, and slowly returned to the front of the warrior. The warrior's long stick was raised high towards the hanged ghost again. As the person in charge, Chen Kun had not realized it yet. The long stick fell heavily with a sound of breaking through the air. Woo! Crack! The sound of broken bones. Chen Kun's shoulder sank. His body suddenly stiffened. The warrior's long stick did not stop, and hit Chen's knee with another stick. Crack! The knee was shattered. Chen Kun's body twitched, and his face was pale in pain, and his head was covered with beads of sweat. Enough! Ji Luo appeared in front of Chen Kun and looked at Chen Qing coldly. The winner has been decided, so what, do you want to kill him? Quote, I won't kill him. If it's just the 2 of us, I will cut him into pieces bit by bit. Chen Qing thought to himself. But he pretended to be confused and slapped his forehead. Ouch! I didn't hear him admit defeat. I'm sorry, I was too heavy-handed. Quote. Chapter 51. The dead ghost was so strange that he was beaten. Everyone was a little confused. The ability of the hanged ghost is so strange. How did it exchange positions with the other party? Isn't the hanged ghost a very ordinary ghost? Now it seems very useful. I suddenly feel that the hanged ghost is a perfect match with any ghost. As everyone talked, they thought of what would happen if they were against Chen Qing. They all felt inexplicably cold in their hearts. If they were against Chen Qing, they would not be able to escape the heavy blow on their shoulders. After the first stick, Chen Kun was still screaming. After the second and third sticks, he no longer had the strength to scream. His whole body was shaking, and he didn't know if it was twitching or what. One leg was bent down at the knee, swinging casually, like a nunchaku. Seeing Chen Kun's miserable state, everyone looked at Chen Qing with a complicated look. Strong, really strong, but isn't it a little too vicious? They are all newcomers of the same class, is it necessary to use such a heavy hand? Chen Qing didn't care about their looks at all. Compared with the knife that Chen Kun stabbed into his chest, this is nothing. The love, hatred and vengeance at this stage are just like a joke. Wu Kong took a deep look at Chen Qing. Chen Qing wins. Did everyone gain anything from watching Chen Qing's duel? Wu Kong asked. Auxiliary ghost pets are very important. The ability of the hanged ghost should not be very strong, but with the help of the warrior, it plays a role of 1 + 1 greater than 2. Brother, I beg you to look at the ghost table. The hanged ghost is 72. 72. B level wandering soul. Yes, and the warrior, the ghost energy value is 83. A level wandering soul. Ah, Wu Kong nodded and said. On the one hand, Chen Qing has been very hardworking, which has earned him high soul power, but everyone must pay attention to the cooperation between ghost species. If a low-level ghost pet appears among the ghost pets of a master, you should not be lucky, but be alert. Next game, Hongya vs. Hu Tianyi. Is Hongya here? The monkey rubbed his hands and sneered. I have been unhappy with this guy for a long time, and here comes the opportunity. Hongya, Hongya. Not long after, Hongya appeared, with a thick layer of lubricant-like stuff on his left face. She looked at He Runsheng with hatred, full of arrogance. I will remember this blow today, and you will repay it with the rest of your life. I will become your nightmare, Are you going to come up or not, you sissy? Monkey was overwhelmed by what she heard. Hongya couldn't finish the bunch of sentences she had carefully prepared in the medical room, and she was so uncomfortable that she turned back and looked at Monkey with hatred. Okay. Okay. She sneered. Do you think that just because I am a woman, you will definitely win me? Have you ever heard of, if you can form an army like a woman, you will be straight? Are you going to compete or not? Monkey cursed. You have no ability, but you are good at talking. You will definitely become a gossip ghost if you die. Ha 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 ha. Puff. Awesome. Everyone laughed. To be honest, Hongya is still a very good person. She is almost the weakest talent, but now she is considered average among the newcomers, slightly above average. But she is so mean, so few people like her. Okay, okay. It's hard to persuade the ghost with good words. Come on. As she said that, she summoned her 2 ghost pets. 2D level wandering souls, a toilet ghost and a long-tongued ghost. On Monkey's side, there is AD level wandering soul, Wu Fu. Hongya just went to the medical room and did not see Wu Fu take action. After testing with the ghost meter, he sneered, they are both D-level wandering souls, and you want to fight too. Monkey, who are you looking down on? Wu Fu moved. The toilet ghost and the long-tongued ghost also moved. Both rushed towards Wu Fu. Time was like slow motion. At the moment when the 3 crossed, Wu Fu lightly picked up the long stick, and the tip of the stick went around the long tongue of the long-tongued ghost that was chopped down like a sword, and touched the throat of the long-tongued ghost. At the same time, his shoulders sank slightly, and the toilet ghost's claws missed and passed over Wu Fu. Wu Fu's shoulders were suddenly raised and hit the toilet ghost. Bang, bang. The 2 ghosts fell in different directions at the same time. Wu Fu approached quickly and came to Hongya in an instant. A stick. Bang. Hongya staggered and her right face swelled rapidly. All this happened in just a few seconds. Too fast. In the eyes of everyone, the 3 ghost pets rushed together, and at the moment of contact, the 2 ghosts flew backwards with a bang. Wu Fu's figure shook, and Hongya was hit by a stick. Too fast. Everything happened too fast. Ah, Hongya covered her face, somewhat incredulous. You cheated. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and there was a tooth in it. Looking at the tooth, Hongya couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, I'll fight. Wu Fu smashed down with a stick and blocked her in front of him. Monkey didn't care. I advise you to go to the medical room to have a look. If you don't go, your right face will be lost. Almost the same words as Wukong. Wukong said the left face, and Monkey said the right face. Hongya's face flushed, and her fingers pointing at Monkey were trembling. You wait for me. After that, She left the martial arts arena at a high speed. Hu Tianyi wins. The next competition was much more intense. He Runsheng did not make another upset and was eliminated. In a blink of an eye, it was the third round. Somewhat unexpectedly, Monkey drew Chen Qing. Chen Qing smiled. I surrender, I give up. Everyone was stunned. What do you mean? Monkey was angry. I want you to give up. I don't want to be the town guard. Chen Qing whispered. I'm not lying to you, I really don't want to. Monkey was thoughtful. Chen Qing really didn't want to be the town guard. The blood moon was too scary. Chen Qing just wanted to protect himself, and didn't want to protect anyone. In this life, with foresight, Chen Qing has all the advantages. His strength has not been improved, but the power in his hands is already considerable. But, how could Chen Qing protect those people in Zhongpan community? Except for Monkey's family and blind Uncle Sha, Chen Qing didn't care about anyone's life or death. Even some grudges, he had to settle them bit by bit. This competition looked very serious, and everyone took it very seriously. But Chen Qing had broken Chen Kun's shoulder and knee, which was a little revenge in advance. This competition was meaningless to him. It's like playing house. Chen Qing shook his head and patted the monkey. Come on, buddy. After that, he left the martial arts arena. Chen Qing was thinking about whether to go to the Princess Ghost domain again. Collect a few more ghost pets, and take out a few old items to see if they can be awakened again. Awakening a few items in advance will give me more confidence, right? Just thinking about it, the phone suddenly came. Mr. Chin. The fat man who sold a warehouse to me. Is there anything good? Chen Qing pressed the answer button. Hello, Mr. Li, it's like this, someone wants to buy the batch of goods you have. The price is negotiable, the price is negotiable. Chen Qing sneered. Talk, is it necessary? Even if you want to buy it back at 100 times the price, I won't agree. Mr. Ruan is no longer in this city. Mr. Li, please do me a favor, please do me a favor. Mr. Yu is very generous, the price will satisfy you. Please do me a favor, Mr. Ruan. Chen Qing didn't hear the rest of the words. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he burst out with unprecedented murderous intent. Mr. Yu, are you the one who ordered Li Ba to mess with Chen Man and himself? The surname Yu is not a common name, so the chance of running into the real owner is not small. Chen Qing immediately pretended to think and pondered. I wonder which Mr. Yu is this. Hey, how many Mr. Yu are there in Ziming City? Mr. Chin said happily. Anyway, I have only heard of this Mr. Yu. After getting the answer he wanted, Chen Qing pondered for a moment. Mr. Chin, Mr. Ruan is not short of money. Quote. Brother Li Qing, you don't know that this Mr. Yu is very, very, very generous. Mr. Ruan may get 7 or 8 times the profit by reselling it. Why not? Then I'll ask Mr. Ruan. After hanging up the phone, Mr. Chin sighed. The driver who had been with Mr. Chin for decades said, Boss, we checked all the nearby surveillance cameras, but we didn't see how they transported the goods. Ah, Mr. Chin sighed. This Mr. Ruan is probably a very well-connected person. He ate such a large batch of goods without anyone noticing. The driver had murderous intent in his eyes. If we can arrange tonight, do you want to? Mr. Chin frowned. Are you crazy? The driver's voice was urgent. After all, the price has to be increased tenfold. 500 million. Big brother, the wealth and glory of all brothers for the rest of their lives. You have to live to spend it. If it were you, would you be able to handle such a large batch of goods in just a few days? Mr. Chin sighed. Even if this batch of goods is kept for 5 more days, it can be sold to Mr. Yu. Alas, maybe it's really not destined to be rich. The time to meet was scheduled for the evening. There are always many restrictions on ghosts during the day, so Chen Qing can feel more at ease at night. Chen Qing was a little lucky. He had been using the alias Li Qing since he went to Wu Xiaomin. If not, maybe this Mr. Yu might still have some reservations. Of course, he couldn't meet him in his true colors. Then he would be possessed by the painted skin and become Mr. Ruan to attend the banquet. As dusk approached, the competition ended. Zhou Yangchao and Ji Luo met in the finals. As expected, Zhou Yangchao won the first place with the evil ghost level, Baboon. Monkey won the third place with AD level Wandering Soul Warrior. What surprised Chen Qing was that a newcomer came to the door. Hello, master. Maybe you don't remember me. My name is Zhou Zheng. Zhou Zheng has an ordinary appearance, ordinary grades, and is mediocre in all aspects. It's like this, master, can you help me contract a warrior? I am willing to pay 2 million hard work fees. Chen Qing was stunned. It turned out that this was the hidden rich second generation in the class. Sorry, I don't have the ability. Chen Qing shook his head, wondering if the monkey had revealed something. The monkey said that there was a master to help him. After thinking about it, only you have the ability. Zhou Zheng said earnestly, please help me, great God. If it's a matter of money, we can still discuss it. Sorry, I really don't have the ability. Chen Qing is not short of money. Moreover, according to the introduction of Painted Skin, a ghost like Wu Fu ranks high in the 100 Ghosts record. If he really wants to sell it, it will naturally not be just this price. After all, the money will soon be waste paper. Zhou Zheng had no choice but to leave. Chen Qing fell into a state of meditation again. After a long time, he let out a long breath. The 12th Zhodian, it's done. Finally, the Chengguang Great Zhodian in the mind is connected, which is the spirit realm. The acupuncture point map has been memorized long ago. The first is Jiaosan acupoint, which is above the right ear. It doesn't need to be too precise, just know the approximate location. Acupuncture points and meridians are like service stations and highways. Or it could be like a pond in a river, the capacity would be greatly increased. The spiritual energy moved forward slowly. It was always tight and blocked the first time, it would be fine after a few times. Finally, the spiritual energy running through the meridians above the ear suddenly became clear and poured into the Jiaosan acupoint. The next one is the Luxi acupoint. Time passed slowly, and the sky darkened. Chen Qing went out to take a taxi and came to the agreed place. President Qin was already waiting, smiling, Mr. Ruan, welcome, welcome. He asked again, where's little brother Li Qing, didn't he come? Something urgent happened at home. Chen Qing asked, where's President Yu? He's probably on his way. President Qin sighed, Mr. Ruan is lucky, I don't have that luck. Why? President Yu offered 10 times the price to buy the goods in Mr. Ruan's warehouse. It was sold for 40 million, and someone bought it for 400 million right after. President Qin probably wanted to die. But after all, he was a person who had experienced ups and downs, so he just laughed at himself. The two chatted for a while, and when the time came, Mr. Yu finally arrived. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes, and was about 1.8 meters tall. There was a blood-red birthmark on his left face, which made him look more ferocious. After a few words of gossip, he immediately got into the topic. I am very interested in the batch of goods in Mr. Ruan's hands. The price is not a problem. I wonder how much Mr. Yu wants to bid. 10 times. Mr. Yu directly gave an incredible price. How can business be negotiated like this? He tried to test. 400 million is a huge sum. I want to see your assets first. Mr. Yu grinned, took out a person's pocket from his pocket, and took out a large stack of anonymous cards from it. Mr. Ruan must be very familiar with these anonymous cards. The application threshold for each card is 10 million. Chen Qing narrowed his eyes. It was not because of this stack of anonymous cards, but this pocket. This was the pocket that the black-veiled woman gave him at the peak. This kind of pocket has spatial properties and a capacity of about 1 cubic meter. It is definitely not something that ordinary people can get. Okay, come with me. Chen Qing nodded. Boss Yu was overjoyed. He took out a piece of paper and threw it to Boss Qin. Thank you, Boss Qin, this is the introduction fee. Boss Qin took it and felt mixed emotions. Instead of taking Boss Yu's car, he walked a short distance and took a taxi at random. The two of them came to the north of the city together. There are almost no residents here, and most of the roads that have not been maintained for a long time have cracked. Mr. Ruan is really careful in doing things. Boss Yu praised. It's a shady business, so be careful. As he walked, Chen Qing smiled and said, Boss Yu, have you heard of Jinbuhuan? As he spoke, he stared at the changes in Boss Yu's expression. Boss Yu, who had been talking and laughing, suddenly changed his expression the moment these 3 words came out. He asked anxiously, where? Chen Qing took out the demon suppression tower and threw it over. Catch it. Big, big, big. The next moment, the demon suppression tower directly became 3 stories high and fell down with a bang. Buzz. Bang bang bang, bang. The road collapsed and cracked. But the demon suppression tower did not fall to the ground, but stopped about 1 meter above the ground. Chen Qing was slightly startled, and saw a monster with black hair under the demon suppression tower, holding up the demon suppression tower with both hands raised high. Boss Yu was lying on the ground with blood all over his head. With a wave of his hand, a skeleton appeared in front of him. The skeleton still had flesh and blood on its face, but most of it was golden, and it was wearing a cloak made of broken bones. As soon as the skeleton appeared, it immediately hugged Boss Yu and rolled out of the range of the bottom of the demon suppression tower. It's actually a ghost tamer. Chen Qing felt scared, and the soldier ghost, the warrior ghost, the child ghost, and the hanged ghost all appeared beside him. Master, that skeleton is the white bone demon. That monster covered with black hair is a hairy zombie. They are all evil ghosts. Big, big, big. While listening, Chen Qing enlarged the demon suppression tower again. At this moment, the weight of the demon suppression tower was difficult to estimate. It pressed heavily on the ground, crushing a 1-foot-thick road everywhere. The white silk of the hanged ghost was gently placed on the tree beside it. The next moment, the swords and sticks of the soldier ghost and the warrior hit the hanged ghost hard. Bang, bang. A stick hit Mr. Yu's head hard. A knife chopped down directly. Mr. Yu shook his head desperately, but still cut off an ear and a whole piece of skin. Mr. Yu was horrified. The white bone demon raised his right hand horizontally, and his index finger suddenly lengthened, forming a bone whip several meters long. With a slight movement of his finger, he swung it in a circle, like a white snake, and slashed fiercely. Woo! Pop! The soldier ghost did not avoid the whip, and the bone whip exploded at the soldier ghost's shoulder, and one of the soldier ghost's arms exploded. Even the hand flew out. At the same time, a big hole was blown open at the side of the soldier ghost's chest. Chen Qing was horrified. Zhang Kui. He wanted to summon Zhang Kui, but Zhang Kui was not in his summoning range. At this time, the middle finger, ring finger, little finger, and thumb of the white bone demon all suddenly became longer, and the 5-10-meter long bone whips were like 5 bone snakes, extremely flexible, and slashed rapidly. Retreat. The 5 fingers of the white bone demon's left hand had also grown longer. The 10 bone whips blocked all retreat routes and strangled everyone fiercely. Mom, love, the child ghost spoke, and the 10 bone whips suddenly froze. But in just a moment, the bone whips drilled into the child ghost's cheek. In just a moment, the child ghost's entire jaw was crushed. The 10 bone whips raised their heads again and pounced on everyone like a snake. The hanged ghost moved again. He exchanged positions with the white bone demon. The white bone demon instantly appeared 30 meters away from everyone. The white bone demon was just. After a slight pause, 10 bone whips pierced into the body of the hanged ghost. At this time, General Yu, who was beaten to death, waved his hand, and a fair-skinned girl appeared in front of him. The girl pinched her middle finger and thumb in the air, as if holding an embroidery needle. Be careful, Painted Skin exclaimed, controlling Chen Qing to twist to the right desperately. Squeak. A slight sound. Chen Qing felt a sharp pain in his right chest. It seemed that a needle had been pierced. The fair-skinned girl pulled in the air, and the flesh and blood on Chen Qing's right chest seemed to be pulled, and Chen Qing's face turned pale with pain. The warrior and the soldier ghost with only one arm left rushed to the fair-skinned girl without hesitation. Chen Qing shouted, Zhang Kui! Zhang Kui! In Chen Qing's horror, he finally felt Zhang Kui. The next moment, Zhang Kui appeared. Snap, 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 snap. 10 bone whips were lashed all over his body. Ah, 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 ah. Zhang Kui protected his head with both hands, screaming in agony. He didn't need to say anything, he was furious. Who dares to hit me? However, most of these 10 bone whips had already broken. Like a rotten wood hitting a rock. The white bone demon was stunned, and the next moment, the white bone demon turned around and ran. As if seeing a natural enemy. You dare to run. Zhang Kui was furious and chased after her quickly in his golden slippers. With the help of the golden slippers, his speed was as fast as lightning, and he had caught up with the white bone demon in 10 steps. Bang, bang. At the bottom of the demon suppression tower, Mao Zhang was slapping desperately. With every blow, the whole earth shook. The fair-skinned girl had a strange ability. While retreating, she pinched the needle in the void and stabbed left and right. With each blow, the warrior's whole body suddenly stiffened, but with his strong body, he seemed to break the needle and thread in the void. He took 2 steps forward and grabbed the white girl's hands. The white girl struggled left and right, but it was as if she was trapped by steel bars. She couldn't move. The warrior lifted the white girl in front of Chen Qing like a chicken. Chen Qing was still sweating in pain at this moment. Embroidery girl, she can. Before the introduction of the painted skin was finished, the voice stopped abruptly. Chen Qing did not hesitate at all. The bloodline on the Kunwu sword exploded, and he chopped off the head of the embroidery girl with one knife. The embroidery girl turned into a black mist and was sucked into the demon-suppressing tower. Chen Qing controlled a long-tongued ghost to explode into ghost energy, making room for the embroidery girl. Painted Skin then continued. This is an auxiliary ghost pet. I believe the owner has already felt it. She can pierce the owner's body with an embroidery needle through the air, which is somewhat similar to the hanged ghost. Hanged ghost. Chen Qing arrived immediately. This guy is really miserable. Take it back to the tower and put it next to the golden body. It will recover in a few days. The golden body has this function. Otherwise, it wouldn't attract so many ghosts to fight for it. The hairy zombie is still locked at the bottom of the demon suppression tower. Chen Qing knows that this thing can be described in 8 words: invulnerable to swords and guns, and extremely powerful. The demon suppression tower cannot be taken back before Zhang Kui comes back. At that moment, he came to the front of the tower with the hanged ghost in his arms and took back the 2nd floor of the demon suppression tower. He also took back the seriously injured soldier ghost and waited quietly for Zhang Kui. Bang, bang, bang. The ground is still shaking. If the hairy zombie has a little brain, it should come out if it digs to the side. But the master was unconscious, and the hairy zombie, without anyone to command him, was too simple-minded. He kept going up, as if he wanted to break through the demon suppression tower. After a while, Zhang Kui came back. He threw a skeleton that was barely held together on the ground. He was so angry that his eyes, which had been free, swung around. How dare you run? How dare you run? Tear up your bones and use them as firewood. The blood pattern of Chen Qing's Kunwu sword reappeared, and he chopped it down with one knife. Dang! Sparks flew everywhere. It only cut out a deep mark. Master, crush it with the demon suppression tower. Zhang Kui was here, so he didn't have to be afraid of the hairy zombie. Chen Qing nodded, and with a thought, the demon suppression tower shrank back into his hand. He threw it out again, and it had become the size of a 3rd floor. Boom! It fell heavily to the ground, crushing the white bone demon into bone slag. The hairy zombie was like a nail stuck into the ground, but it had arched out a large space during its struggle. Seeing that the demon-suppressing tower above him was knocked away by him, he was about to come out to kill people with a hoarse cry. Suddenly, he stopped. The hairy zombie was horrified, crouched back with his hands on his head, and trembled all over. I get angry when I see you. Zhang Kui grabbed the hairy zombie by the hair. He pulled it out like a chicken, threw it to the ground, and slapped it left and right. Pa, I'll make sure your bones don't melt. If you don't melt, I'll see if you can melt. Pa, Pa. Even though he was already crazy, Zhang Kui did not hide his malice towards the ghosts. The hair of the hairy zombie was invulnerable to swords and guns, but wherever Zhang Kui slapped, the hair flew away, revealing the black flesh underneath. Master, hurry up. Master Zhang Kui, if you slap it a few more times, you will beat it back to the level of wandering souls. Hearing this, Chen Qing inserted the Kunwu sword into the hairy zombie's bare flesh. At the same time, he stirred it hard. The hairy zombie's body stiffened and slowly fell to the ground. The moment it touched the ground, it turned into a black mist and merged into the demon suppression tower. The battle was a mess, but the battle was over. Looking at the chaotic battle scene, Chen Qing was still in fear. What would happen if there was no Zhang Kui? Although he had the painted skin to protect his body, the needle of the embroidery girl could penetrate his body through the air, which was really weird. The hairy zombie, the white bone spirit, and the embroidery girl, each of them is not a common ghost species, especially the hairy zombie and the embroidery girl, which formed a perfect complement. The embroidery girl restricted her movements, and with the strength of the hairy zombie, who could withstand its punches and palms. And knowing that Jin Buhuan, his generosity is not inferior to that of the richest man, and his target is an antique. This person is definitely not simple. After trying, this person cannot be taken into the demon suppression tower. Chen Qing had no choice but to simply treat his injuries with extremely crude medical skills. At the moment when the disinfectant alcohol was poured on him, Mr. Yu finally woke up in pain. His face was distorted and his head was covered with beads of sweat. Mr. Yu felt it and found that the 3 ghost pets had lost any contact, so they must be dead. Before Chen Qing asked, he stared at Chen Qing. Who are you? Me. Chen Qing looked at him with interest. Chen Qing. You, or Chen Qing. Mr. Yu's pupils trembled violently, and suddenly he thought of something and laughed. Ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. When his laughter stopped, Chen Qing said calmly, tell me, who are you? Me. Mr. Yu sneered. Boy, you have the painted skin to protect your body, and you set this trap to kill me, pretending not to know who I am. Ha ha, ha ha. Suddenly, Mr. Yu's voice stopped abruptly. The painted skin controlled a hand and inserted it into his mouth. After a few casual touches, he pinched a tooth and pulled it out with blood and flesh. The tooth seemed hollow and faintly green. Taiping Dao. Taiping Dao. They believe that all things are equal, advocate the coexistence of humans and ghosts, and want to build an absolutely balanced world dominated by them. Many ghosts are promoted by killing people. How can they coexist? A cult. All cults that can grow will have a glorious and majestic doctrine similar to doing justice for the heavens. Taiping Dao is no exception. Seeing the tooth being pulled out, Mr. Yu finally panicked. Master, the people of Taiping Dao are very stubborn, I'm afraid he won't say it easily. Painted Skin suddenly thought of something and said a few words with a smile. Chen Qing immediately woke up and said to Zhang Kui, wow. Zhang Kui, this person actually dared to lie to you. How dare he not tell the truth? Zhang Kui was furious. He was about to hit him, but Chen Qing quickly stopped him and said, I bet you will hurt him. Zhang Kui choked, and suddenly grinned, I won't. As he said that, he gently hit, or more accurately, touched, Mr. Yu's face. Zhang Kui was very proud. He's fine, and he won't lie. Master, this is, straight talk, one of the 72 magical powers. Now this guy will say whatever you ask. So awesome. Chen Qing smiled and asked, what is the most disgusting thing you have ever done? It was me who raped and killed my aunt. Mr. Yu blurted out, and the next moment, his face changed drastically. It's really not enough to die 10 times. Chen Qing sneered and asked, how did you know about Jin Buhuan? There are many of my spies in Ziming City. I asked them to pay attention to the news about Jin Buhuan. One of them knew Zheng Yun from the Aria Hotel and knew that you had Jin Buhuan. Not a surprising answer. What do you want Jin Buhuan for? Jin Buhuan is almost the rarest ghost in the world. It can enlighten everything and turn it into spiritual treasures, and my cultivation requires a large number of spiritual treasures. Spiritual treasures. Are they ancient artifacts? Yes. Chen Qing nodded and asked again, what did you cultivate? Do you need a large number of spiritual treasures? The Taoist tradition of Duobao Taoist, the more treasures you have, the stronger your body will be. Chen Qing did not speak, but Zhang Kui on the side said anxiously, Duobao. Taoist Duobao. Give it to me, give it to me. He was about to rob it, but he didn't know what to rob. Chen Qing put him into the demon suppression tower with a thought, and he struggled to appear. Chen Qing took him back again. Zhang Kui valued it so much, it must be extraordinary. Master, there are many kinds of skills. Skills, inheritance, but those who dare to call it Taoist tradition are the top inheritance, which are generally passed down directly by immortals. Chen Qing nodded, asked, where is the Taoist lineage of Duobao Taoist? In my Chenkin bag. So this bag is called Chenkin bag. Chen Qing thought, as. Following Mr. Yu's instructions, he took out a long piece of jade. It was as long as a chopstick, half a finger thick, and 2 fingers wide. Taotong Jade Scepter. Mine. Mine. Zhang Kui was a little crazy again. How could you possibly need this kind of thing when you are so powerful? Zhang Kui was stunned and nodded heavily. Not bad. Not bad. Right, 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 right. Chen Qing wrote down the 4 words, Taotong Jade Scepter, and asked again, is the Taoism of Duobao Taoist related to Jinbuhuan? The evil spirit level of Jinbuhuan is called Duobao Boy. Legend has it that it is the ghost that Duobao Taoist created for cultivation. Do you have the spirit guide of Duobao Boy? Yes. It's written in the Taotong Jade Scepter. No wonder this guy wants to rob Jinbuhuan. But Jinbuhuan can't be said to be his now. Chen Qing has finished asking questions that concern him. After thinking for a while, he asked again, are you from the Taiping Dao? Yes. What are your plans? Assist the ghosts and build a ghost market. Sure enough. Cult. How much money do you have? 1.1 billion. Where did you get so much money? 1 month ago, I controlled the chairman of the Gailey Group and plundered all his money. Why do you want to buy so many antiques? To practice Duobao Taoism. After thinking for a while, he suddenly thought of the most precious question. What other ghost species do you know about the spiritual guide? Embroidery girl. White bone spirit. Chen Qing was overjoyed. In this world, the promotion sequence of different ghost species is a priceless treasure. Embroidery girl is a wandering soul, and the evil ghost level is flower waist bride. A human skin wedding dress needs to be sewn. Evil nature. The white bone spirit is at the level of evil ghosts, and the evil spirit level is the dragon bone skeleton. You need to find at least 2 dragon ribs, use them as the main bones, and grow slowly. The Taoist corpse level is called the white bone bodhisattva, and I don't know about the spirit guide. When Chen Qing heard the 4 words, white bone bodhisattva, he only felt a buzzing in his head. It was like a sledgehammer hitting him. Chen Qing felt hairy in his heart, and he understood that this was no appearance. He heard something that he shouldn't have heard at his level. Dragon bones. Bodhisattva. Is this something I should know? He secretly complained in his heart. He didn't have any interrogation skills. If he handed it over to the captain and the others, they would definitely be able to find out a lot of things. But he knew the secrets of Jinbuhuan, Zhang Kui, and the demon suppression tower. Naturally, he couldn't let him live. After thinking for a while, he asked, what is your biggest secret? I raped and killed my aunt. You, the second biggest secret. I raped and killed my aunt. What a scumbag. I'll torture you later. What's the third biggest secret? The entrance to Ziming City from the ghost world. Hearing this, Chen Qing narrowed his eyes. Currently available information. Skeleton right pointing arrow white bone demon right pointing arrow dragon bone skeleton right pointing arrow white bone bodhisattva. The interrogation lasted for a long time. Chen Qing asked about the Taiping Dao's plot in detail. Especially the exit of the ghost world to Ziming City. But Yu Bei was too seriously injured and gradually couldn't hold on. After a few more minutes of interrogation, he was already out of breath. A life cannot be wasted. Chen Qing immediately summoned the drowned ghost. This guy's ghost energy value has been at 100 for a long time, and his promotion spirit is, drowned 9 people, 8 of which have been completed, only the last one is missing. Drowned him. The drowned ghost was overjoyed. The long tail wrapped around Yu Bei and quickly ran into a stream not far away. The stream was only knee-deep, but it was more than enough to drown a person. Yu Bei flapped his wings twice and then stopped moving. The drowning ghost shuddered. His body twisted and twitched in the water. Its body changed, its limbs kept growing longer, and its palms and soles kept growing bigger. The last bit of human characteristics disappeared, and now it looked more like a gibbon. Thick hairs sprouted all over its body, and they grew rapidly, and soon they were as long as a palm. After a while, the promotion was finally completed. The wandering soul level, drowned ghost, was promoted to the evil ghost level, water monkey. The black hair seemed to have some kind of concealing effect in the water. It was clearly in front of him, but it almost merged with the water, and it took a lot of effort to see its figure clearly. The water monkey was extremely swift in the water, and with a slight slide of its long tail, it jumped out more than 10 meters. A test of the ghost meter. 118. E-level evil ghost. Chen Qing was very satisfied. The battle just now was quite noisy. He was afraid of attracting powerful beings in the city, so he immediately put away many ghost pets and quickly returned to the base. This time the harvest was too great. The promotion sequence of the white bone spirit and the promotion sequence of Jin Buhuan. The money increased by 600 million at one time. This money must be exchanged for supplies as soon as possible. But now there is nothing missing, so I can only buy some more bulk goods. Lying on the bed, Chen Qing entered the second level of the demon suppression tower. Started to check the 3 new ghost pets. The hairy zombie in the back of the head and the back of the neck were bald by Zhang Kui, but the injury was not too serious. The ghost meter was tested. 332. D-level evil ghost. The white bone spirit was the most seriously injured. Zhang Kui seemed to have a lot of opinions about this ghost species and beat it to pieces. At this moment, the skull and sternum were very broken and felt like they would break at any time. First test. 107, E-level evil ghost. Chen Qing is so upset. Originally, the white bone demon should be the strongest among the 3 ghosts, but now it can fall back to the wandering soul level at any time. The embroidery girl was the least injured. First test, 98. It has reached the edge of promotion, but the spirit guide is sewing a human skin wedding dress, which is somewhat anti-human. Moreover, her embroidery needle is very useful as an auxiliary skill. It is not known what ability the evil ghost level state flower waist bride has. Maybe after the promotion, the embroidery needle ability will be lost, which is not worth the loss. I will not consider promotion for the time being. Current ghost pets. There are 3 evil ghosts. Hairy Zombie 332, D-level evil ghost. Water Monkey 118, E-level evil ghost. White Bone Demon 107, E-level evil ghost. There are 9 wandering souls. Embroidery Girl 98, A-level wandering soul. Child Ghost 90, A-level wandering soul. Warrior 84, A-level wandering soul. Hanged Ghost 69, B-level wandering soul. Soldier Ghost 43, C-level wandering soul. Plus 4 garbage that have not been replaced yet. Crazy Ghost, Toilet Ghost, Breath-Eating Ghost, and Gambling Ghost. Surprisingly, since the golden body was placed on the 2nd floor, these ghosts have been upgraded very quickly. Gambling Ghost and Crazy Ghost have both been upgraded to E-level. Of course, they are still garbage that will break at the touch. In the battle with Yubei, the ghost's ghost spirit values have dropped to varying degrees. Especially the Soldier Ghost, who was the most seriously injured and dropped from B level to C level. The total ghost spirit value of the 12 ghosts has reached 998. Then Zhang Kui. Chen Qing is looking forward to it. Zhang Kui. Summon immediately, but Zhang Kui seems to be exploring the upper floors of the demon suppression tower, which is still a void these days. Although there is still a sense, there is no way to force it to come. Zhang Kui. Chen Qing summoned again. Zhang Kui finally appeared. All the ghosts trembled in fear the moment Zhang Kui appeared. Even the strongest hairy zombie squatted on the ground, holding his head and not daring to look up. Chen Qing tested the ghost meter. 502. SS level wandering soul. Double S. Chen Qing was overjoyed. Zhang Kui, how do you feel? Zhang Kui looked up at the sky with one eye and he looked at the ground and said a word that fits his temperament very well, ah. You've surpassed the level. 2 S's. I ask you how you feel. Chen Qing repeated loudly, word by word. Zhang Kui covered his ears. Why are you so loud? Master, the great god Zhang Kui is crazy, not deaf. Quote. However, Chen Qing asked left and right. He still couldn't get the answer. He could only give up. He was also a little shocked. Zhang Kui already has more than 500 ghost energy points, but he is still stuck at the wandering soul level. And the hairy zombies that are half lower than him are already D-level evil ghosts. After counting, Zhang Kui has currently used 4 magical powers. Immobilization, Breaking the Law, and Straight Talk. These 3 are among the 72 great magical powers. And that words follow the law according to the words of Painted Skin, has an even more terrifying origin. Painted Skin has 1.5 magical powers, false shape, half indestructible Vajra. As for Hairy Zombie, it can be said that it has 0.7 magical powers, 0.3 indestructible Vajra, 0.4 great power. Although they are both half-baked, these 2 are extremely useful magical powers and can be cultivated slowly. Especially great power. Almost no one at the same stage can withstand a blow from Harry Zombie. He sorted out the power in his hands and deduced in his mind how to cooperate and fight with each other. Others racked their brains to deduce between 2 or 3 ghost species, but he had too many ghost pets, and catching 2 of them at random would have a very powerful effect. For example, Hanged Ghost plus Hairy Zombie. One hit will definitely kill one. For example, Hanged Ghost plus Warrior, Embroidered Girl plus Warrior, Embroidered Girl plus White Bone Demon. And so on. If they all attack together, it will be even more abnormal. Thinking of this, he took out the Jade Scepter of Duobao Daotong. The treasure that Yubei valued so much must not be simple. Spiritual energy poured into it. A thought rushed into Chen Qing's mind. The Tao of Duobao is not the Tao. Seize the creation of heaven and earth, strengthen the ordinary bones. Heavy as the root of light, fast and slow follow. Know the world without leaving the house, and the Tao follows with a word. The history of this technique is very old. It is obscure and difficult to understand. But for some reason, Chen Qing can understand it. Then he felt that the tone was too arrogant. It can no longer be described as middle school. According to Yugi's description, if it succeeds, the world will serve you, and you will be at your service. The method of cultivation is also extremely simple. Collect treasures and refine them into your body. As long as there are enough treasures, you can become an invincible existence. Move your hands and feet to split the sky and the earth. Chen Qing pondered. Spiritual treasures, I have a warehouse. This seems to be prepared for myself. The Ghost Master was so weak that he almost died if he was attacked. The Duobao Taoism was to refine all the spiritual treasures into the body to strengthen the body. Chen Qing pondered. After a while, he had made a decision. Practice. A strong body is too important. Although he had the painted skin to protect his body, the strange ghosts like the embroidered girl could attack through the air and were hard to defend against. After only 2 needles, he almost lost his fighting power. If it was Chen Man, he could probably withstand more than 10 or 20 needles. At that moment, Chen Qing began to check how to practice. But it requires the spirit realm. Don't worry about that. Chen Qing was already striving for the last Jodian, which is the big Jodian. After leaving the demon-suppressing tower, Chen Qing's soul power slowly flowed into his head. From Jiaosan, to Luxi, to Wangu. The soul power struggled to move forward in the dry meridians. Time passed slowly, and in the morning, Chen Qing had expanded to the 14th Tianju acupoint. There are 27 acupoints in the big Jodian, and finally more than half. Chen Qing opened his eyes. Monkey and He Runsheng were getting up and washing. Washed his face and rested for a while. Called Mr. Zhu of the feed factory. What, 400 million? Yes, 4,000 yuan per ton, within 10 days. You can subcontract it to other manufacturers. Oh. Mr. Zhu was obviously still a little confused. After a while, he asked again, what about the advance payment? Is 50% enough? Enough. Boss Zhu nodded repeatedly. Nowadays, people with a keen sense of smell are using money to exchange for supplies, but most of them are rice, flour, grain and oil. Perhaps no one dares to imagine that the situation will be so bad that they have to eat pig feed. Regardless of whether there is supervision or not, Chen Qing will not trade online. Soon, Boss Zhu appeared at the gate of the base with the accountant and assistant. Chen Qing took out 20 anonymous cards and said, 1 for 10 million. A total of 200 million. Oh. The 3 of them were a little confused. Then Chen Qing turned around and went back. There was no contract signed, and no receipts or anything like that. The 3 of them were a little shocked. Do you trust us so much? What else? Do you dare to swallow the money of the Yugi army? It's better to transfer the money to the factory card first. I always feel it's unreliable. Called Manager Tian, as expected. All the food is gone. All warehouses were sold out. He made another call. Manager Yang, is it almost finished? All the configurations of the safe house are top-notch. Weapons must be sufficient. Budget. There is no upper limit on the budget. Is 50 million enough? Puff. Water spurted out from the other end of the phone. After a while, Manager Yang asked, Mr. Chen, have you heard any rumors? Recently, the orders for safe houses have begun to surge again. I heard it, so I installed more. Chen Qing nodded. I have a bit of paranoia, I would rather believe it. I understand, but even if you add a layer on top, it won't cost so much. Well, anyway, install it as much as you can. By the way, can you still order canned food? No, as expected. After hanging up the phone, running morning exercises, I returned to the dormitory and started to attack the brain cavity. Time passed slowly, and at night, the soul power finally came to the last big acupoint, Tongtian acupoint. The soul power sometimes rushed forward and backward, sometimes used water grinding skills, and finally. Buzz. Chen Qing only felt his brain swell. Almost at the same time, a sense of clarity swept over from top to bottom. Chen Qing felt an unprecedented sense of clarity. The five senses were sharp and refreshed. The soul power quickly flowed throughout the body, 10 times faster than the soul movement state. The sound of water flowing in the water pipe, the sound of leaves rolling and falling, the touch of a grain of dust falling on the body. The world became so close and so noisy. Opened his eyes, the dandruff on the monkey's ears, the mosquito feces on the window corner glass. Everything was so vivid. The speed of thinking was also much faster, and he could count to 100 in his mind in a few seconds. Is this the spirit? Chen Qing murmured. What's wrong with your eyes? The monkey almost jumped up. At this moment, Chen Qing's eyes were full of spiritual energy, with a blue-white light. Great, great, great. Great God, you are at the spiritual realm. He Runsheng's mouth was knotted. The monkey also responded. Spirit. No, Chen Qing, you have eaten a lot. How come you have spirit? You are a bit abnormal. The two of them were talking, but Chen Qing seemed quite calm and smiled. Keep this to yourself and don't tell others. Whether it is a place in the competition or a realm improvement, it can add points. But Chen Qing does not intend to be a defense officer or a garrison officer. Before the blood moon comes, move into a safe house in advance and live forever. He admires heroes who can stand up and stand in front of everyone at special times. But everything he has experienced is destined to make him impossible to become a hero again. Ji Luo's soul power is improving very fast, and it seems that his family has a complete sequence of house ghosts. As long as the soul power is enough, he can have a ghost pet of the evil ghost level at any time. Master, you have to be careful of him, he seems to want to deal with you. Okay, Chen Qing nodded. No matter who the malice comes from, Chen Qing will treat it with 12 points of caution. It's just an evil ghost. Shouldn't worry too much. Ji Yuzhing's injury hasn't healed yet, and he's still in the medical room. Monkey and He Runsheng usually sleep, but after Chen Qing's stimulation today, they couldn't sleep at all. They meditated until midnight, and then they couldn't help but fall asleep. At this time, Chen Qing was ready, adjusted his body to the best condition, and began to practice. The first level of Duobao Taoism is called Spirit Pool. A spiritual power vortex must be formed in the spiritual sea. A heavy spiritual treasure is placed in the center of the spiritual power vortex. But what to use this spiritual treasure, this makes Chen Qing feel troubled. Demon Suppression Tower. Zhang Kui Map. There are also good things in the spiritual treasures in that warehouse, such as the bronze sword, such as Pegasus. But it hasn't awakened yet, and I don't know what it will look like after awakening. It's too early to think about these things. Let's practice now. Chen Qing thought silently, and just as he was about to practice, he heard the voice of Painted Skin. Master, Master, the third floor is open. Did you break through? Chen Qing was stunned. Seeing that both the monkey and He Runsheng were asleep, he entered the second floor of the Demon Suppression Tower with a thought. Except for Zhang Kui, all ghost pets could not cross the floor. Chen Qing felt it and indeed felt that another floor had been opened. However, except for the first floor, which seemed to be a Demon Suppression Tower magnified many times, the second floor was like a small world. There was no staircase, or the light connecting it to the first floor. The Demon Suppression Tower was weird. Chen Qing was not sure about the time flow rate of the third floor, so he did not dare to enter rashly. Otherwise, he might stay in there for 2 minutes, and the blood moon would have come. He came outside, turned on the stopwatch on his mobile phone, and threw it into the third floor. He then started counting and took out his mobile phone on time 1 minute later. The next moment, Chen Qing was stunned. The time on the phone showed 10 minutes. A time flow rate of 1 to 10. This means that if I practiced for 10 days inside, only 1 day would pass outside. And this rule also applies to ghost pets. If someone else's ghost pet practices for 1 day, my ghost pet has practiced for 10 days. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. After the toilet ghost was thrown into the 3rd floor and confirmed that there was no danger, all the ghost pets and the armless golden body were sent to the 3rd floor. Painted Skin played the role of a housekeeper and directed the ghosts to start exploring. Wow, Master, it's so big, so big. The space on the 3rd floor is more than 100 times larger than the 2nd floor. I'm afraid no one would have thought that this is actually one of the floors of a tower. It's just that this place is too desolate. Gray sky, gray earth, hills in the distance, but they are also bald hills, without a single hair. After a while, the voice of the Painted Skin trembled, saying, Master. Master, you, come and have a look. Chen Qing entered the 3rd floor and came to the side of the Painted Skin. He saw a shocking scene. A 10-meter tall mummy sat cross-legged. 4 chains thicker than a person, one end of which was pierced through the man's scapula and the other end was buried in the ground. The mummy may have sat here in this posture for thousands of years, but there is still a terrifying aura on it that makes people palpitate. Master, this is a magical power. The Painted Skin trembled. This corpse must have reached the level of no form when he was alive. Hearing this, Chen Qing closed his eyes. The next moment, his brows frowned. He had just seen the mummy at a glance, but he had no impression of it at all. It seemed that this mummy had never existed. When he opened his eyes again, the mummy was still sitting quietly. But once he closed his eyes, he could not remember even a single detail about it. He just vaguely remembered that there was such a mummy. Let's go. Chen Qing suppressed his curiosity. He remembered the words of Painted Skin, it is extremely dangerous to explore the darkness too much. Demon Suppression Tower. Whose hand is this? The demon suppressed may not only be Zhang Kui. Why did Zhang Kui go crazy? Every time a mystery is solved, more mysteries follow. Practice. Let F4 explore. Painted Skin took the order and sent out the crazy ghost, toilet ghost, gas ghost, and gambling ghost. The blood moon is approaching, and time is precious. There is a 10-fold difference in the flow rate of time here, so it is natural to practice here. Let's build the spirit pool first. Chen Qing followed the instructions of the technique and began to build the first spirit vein. It's very difficult. Walking the meridians is to open up the blocked acupoints. And now, I have to create many acupoints by myself. No wonder the minimum requirement is the spiritual realm. After the spiritual realm, the spiritual consciousness is dozens of times stronger, and the control of the soul power is dozens of times stronger. If I use the control ability of the soul movement realm to build the spirit pool, I am afraid that one acupoint will be stuck for a year. There are countless meridians in the human body, but most of them are so small that they are almost invisible. And Chen Qing's task is to widen these meridians that are so small that they are almost invisible, and build acupoints on them. At this moment, I first condensed the soul power, and dozens of spirals twisted together, and began to impact a meridian as thin as a hair in my mind. It was too narrow for the first time. I passed by the door countless times, and I had no place to use my strength. Helplessly, I first condensed the soul power to the thinness of a hair, and slowly expanded forward. For the whole morning, I only moved forward 1 centimeter. In the afternoon, I moved forward another centimeter. 1 inch is required for 1 acupuncture point. In ancient times, 1 inch was about 2.77 centimeters. At the 12th hour, Chen Qing began to artificially create the first acupuncture point. At the 17th hour, the first acupuncture point was completed. What surprised Chen Qing the most was that because the tiny meridians were constantly passing through soul power, the diameter actually changed from 1 hair to 2 hairs. This saved him from having to expand it again. After resting for an hour, he continued to expand forward. With a flash of inspiration, he separated a soul power and expanded from the other side at the same time. It was just difficult. With his current soul power, it was enough to divide it into 10 strands, but it was too difficult to control. It was equivalent to holding a strand of hair in each hand and threading a hair-sized ring 1 meter away. I thought dividing it into 2 strands would be twice as effective with half the effort. But after 10 hours, the two sides added up to less than half of the previous one. Chen Qing raised Chen Man at the age of 13, and he had the most resilient temperament. Force yourself to focus on both ends, it's better to be slow, but not wrong. Time passed day by day, and on the fourth day, the speed of both ends was already comparable to that of only controlling one side before. At this time, Chen Qing's speed was truly twice as fast as before. And Chen Qing actually split into two more! 4 strands of soul power as thick as a hair, 4 strands moving forward at the same time. The 5th day, the 6th day, the 7th day. Until the 12th day, the speed of the 4 strands of soul power reached the normal level. It is equivalent to expanding the acupuncture points at 4 times the speed. At this time, Chen Qing walked through the acupuncture points all over his body, just like walking on a 24-lane highway, the soul power hit wherever it was pointed. Chen Qing gritted his teeth and separated 4 strands of soul power again. 8 strands. This time, even with Chen Qing's temperament, he felt extremely strenuous. Taking care of this end, the other end either stopped or slowly went astray on the way forward. He had to retreat and adjust again. In a blink of an eye, 20 days. Chen Qing was infinitely tired and came to the real world once. Just a moment later, Monkey came out of the toilet and said in surprise, "Wow, where have you been these 2 days? The phone is still turned off." "What's wrong?" Chen Qing was stunned. "The captain wants to see you." "Oh." Chen Qing nodded and came to the captain's office. Han Yuan looked at him venomously and shook his head, saying, "Don't practice too hard, or you will go crazy. I want to see you for 2 reasons. One is that Chen Man has already provided all the resources for bone tempering in practice, all of which are top-notch, so you can rest assured. The second thing, I want you to be the defense officer of the Zhongpan community." Chen Qing frowned. Han Yuan's face was serious. "Chen Qing, there is an expert in my human race who calculated the blood moon. It can be seen as a ghost tribe enhancer. I'm afraid that when the blood moon comes, the number and strength of the ghost tribe will be several times stronger." "How many times? You are still too optimistic." He shook his head in his heart. Just based on this estimate, Chen Qing would not take over the defense officer. It's very simple. Whether it is limited by objective conditions or too optimistic, the defense force will be deployed at several times the usual. And the blood moon, at least 100 times of it must be arranged. However, humans absolutely cannot produce this level of power. This is a dead end. Chen Qing deduced that he could only give up most people, but who would be willing to be the one to be abandoned? What's more, no matter who Chen Qing saved, he would not save the group of ruthless people in the Zhongpan community. This time he really wanted to see how they could live in the blood moon without his desperate protection. So, Chen Qing just smiled. "Captain, my ability is limited, I can't do anything about this. With great ability comes great responsibility. Chen Qing, this is the mission of our Ghost Control Army. Han Yuan is a pure person. To the organization, this man can be open-hearted and confess everything." But Chen Qing asked himself if he could do it. The body of that pure Chen Qing is probably already stinking. In this life, it is the greatest kindness for me not to take the initiative to kill people. The two parted unhappily. This captain who had always been amiable was really angry. In his opinion, Chen Qing was too selfish. Chen Qing had his own reasons, but he couldn't say them. He returned to the dormitory and sat there blankly for a while. When demons and monsters were rampant, heroes and angels also came. In the endless ghost howls, the ugliness and glory of human nature were infinitely magnified. There is a saying, "No winter will not pass, and no spring will not come." But that winter without spring, all human nature was ground into slag. In my last life, I was a hero. But it was only in my last life. Chen Qing's eyes were calm. Suddenly, the demon suppression tower on his chest emitted a strong suction. The second meeting of the 12 Earthly Branches Summit began. The old man was very happy. Chen Qing hurried to the corner, put on his painted skin, transformed into the boy from last time, and entered the demon suppression tower. In a flash, there was another endless peak. This peak stood quietly like a stone pillar. The clouds and mist rolled around, quiet and sacred. On the huge round stone table at the top of the peak, 11 people appeared in their seats one after another. Dear Taoist friends, I've been away for a few days. Are you all well? The old man in the lead said with a smile. Chen Qing looked to his right. His heart suddenly skipped a beat. Chen Quan was not there. The monster with a deer head and a snake body hissed and said, Everyone, I wonder if anyone has the promotion sequence of actor. I am willing to pay a high price to buy it. No one answered. After a while, the man who was as short as a child said, I don't have the spirit guide, but I have heard the name after the promotion. Do you want to buy it? Just the name. The monster with a deer head and a snake body pondered. Sometimes, the name can also be analyzed to reveal something. For example, a warrior is named Wu Zhuangyuan after being promoted, and a zombie is named Mao Zhong after being promoted. However, after a long pause, the monster with a deer head and a snake body shook his head. It's just a name. The monster with a deer head and a snake body looked at the man covered in mist, and said in a cold voice, Last time you were looking for a corpse-level ghost servant, did you find it? The man in the mist laughed, I have killed it to get the elixir. It is also a coincidence that it is from your Zhush clan. What's more, it moved out of your mountain before dying. Brother Zhu, you and I are really destined to meet. The body of the Zhush choked, you are really looking for death. As he said that, blue and green flames rose from his body, and the scene suddenly became cold. I think Brother Zhu has guessed the identity of this little Zhush, ha 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 ha. The man in the mist was not afraid at all and laughed. The North Sea is filled with ghostly air. I have heard of the name, Rakshasa Ghost Market, several times. Is there any Taoist friend who can help me solve this puzzle? A woman asked slowly. She sat upright, her face as white as paper, wearing a blood-stained dress and a blood-stained skirt. There was a blood tree on her head, which was divided into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8. It was extremely regular. Especially on this small blood tree, many blood beads condensed, and each drop seemed to fall at any time. Chen Qing was slightly startled. Why didn't he have any impression of her? As soon as he closed his eyes, he only remembered that there was a person there, but he didn't remember what he looked like. Formless, level existence. It was clear in his mind. Suddenly he realized that there were 11 people sitting here, and he had no impression of the other few people. They were probably all formless, level existence. Maybe they had said something at the last gathering, but he just didn't remember anything. In a trance, he saw a huge figure sitting on a seat that didn't belong here. However, as soon as he turned his head, all his memories disappeared. Dragon. Chen Qing was shocked, but in just a moment, everything in his mind disappeared. He couldn't even remember that he had the idea of a dragon. I was asking the same question. What do you ghosts want to do? You want to invade my human world and block the human world. The black-veiled woman said coldly. But the candle snake just smiled. The black-veiled woman looked at Chen Qing for help. But she sighed silently in her heart. Chen Qing has been practicing day and night in the tower for 20 days. To be precise, he has been practicing in the tower for 20 days. His spirit has long been weak. Even Han Yuan could see that even if he put on the painted skin, how could he block the eyes of these powerful people? The black-veiled woman was grateful and worried. She naturally understood that this senior must have used a great method such as prophecy and paid a heavy price to end up so miserable. Most likely, it was predicting the future from the 36 heavenly gangs. This great method is difficult, and there are only a handful of practitioners in the world. Moreover, this is stealing the secrets of heaven, and the cost of each casting is extremely terrifying. The great man of the human race only cast it once, and vaguely knew a little about the invasion of the ghost tribe, but he was seriously injured and unconscious until now. And this senior accurately predicted, August 15th, and the cost, can't bear to imagine. Chen Qing was very depressed, but he also noticed that the woman in black veil looked at him several times. After thinking about it, he decided to tell her the entrance to the ghost world. He stood up and said, "Follow me." He said to Han Yuan, "You come too." Han Yuan was startled and followed immediately. The three of them only took a few steps, as if they had passed through some space, and suddenly disappeared. The old man in the lead looked at him with a smile. Squinting slightly, he smiled and said, "Fellow Taoists, do you know this senior?" The woman in the blood skirt said, "He has dozens of magical powers. This level of cultivation is the best in the world. Moreover, his magical powers are chaotic and his courage is extremely terrifying, but I have never heard of him. Maybe he has practiced the flying body and tracing trace method. Flying body and tracing trace is one of the 36 Tiangong methods. It allows you to hide outside the world and travel between mountains and rivers. I sense the aura of turning stone into gold and speaking and acting from him. I wonder if I sensed it wrongly. It should be correct. A huge figure spoke with a rumbling voice. He has several kinds of Tiangong Dafa and dozens of magical powers, including several magical powers that are naturally incompatible with water and fire. This senior's cultivation is really unpredictable. The person in the mist joked. Zhu Shi, he seems to have used the reverse knowing the future Dafa and understood your ghost clan's arrangements. With your temper, won't you kill him? Zhu Shi just sneered. The person in the mist was even more proud. So, you also treat people differently. You dare not provoke such a senior, right? Ha 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 ha. The man who was as short as a child looked left and right. He was too short, his head was just flush with the table, and his cultivation was too low. He was only at the Taoist corpse level and had no ability to participate in the conversation of these big shots. On the other side, the black-veiled woman bowed deeply when she saw Chen Qing. Senior, you have suffered for our human race. What? Chen Qing was very surprised. Suffer? What did he suffer? Han Yuan was silent. He didn't say a word during the 212 Earthly Branches summits. Chen Qing said slowly, the exit of the ghost world in Ziming City may be the Immortal Valley. Just one sentence, the black-veiled woman and Han Yuan were stunned. The Taiping Dao should have a lot of people in Ziming City. They are involved in the arrangement of the ghost world in Ziming City. Taiping Dao. It's Taiping Dao again, the black-veiled woman said angrily. Immediately realized something and bowed deeply to Chen Qing again. Thank you, senior. Han Yuan, who had been silent all the time, also bowed deeply. Thank you, senior. The woman wanted to ask what the price of this news was. But how could such a master be short of things? Ghost beads, spirit stones, gold and silver. If he said he lacked these, he would die of laughter. Chen Qing was a little worried. Why is this woman not understanding? She seemed to think of herself as some senior expert. Seniors, of course, must be impressive. The information is not free, just give it away. Chen Qing had to be vague. Oh. The woman in black gauze suddenly came to her senses. Gritting her teeth, she took out 10 Chenkin bags. Chen Qing took it, thought about it, and asked, are there any dragon bones? The woman was startled and looked at the huge figure at the round table with vigilance. She couldn't help but whispered, if the senior needs it, the junior will do his best to find it. I will definitely find it for the senior at the next summit. The three returned to the round table. Several people looked at Chen Qing, and closed their eyes to rest. After a while, the old man in the lead said, everyone in the 12 Earthly Branches Tower is very secretive, but I have something to ask the owner of the Time Tower. Can we talk in private? Everyone was silent. The old man in the lead sighed. Well, it's almost time, please go back. Look forward to seeing you in half a month. The old man was so angry that he was forced to leave. Tower of Time. Chen Qing was a little stunned. He already knew that the demon-suppressing towers were not exactly the same. For example, Han Yuan's demon-suppressing tower suppressed a ghost king. And his demon-suppressing tower imprisoned Zhang Kui. Moreover, Han Yuan's tower could only hold 6 ghosts. Now it seems that the functions of each tower are different. Could the Tower of Time, the old man mentioned, be his own? The first floor is 15,000 times slower than the real world. The second floor is the same as the real world. The third floor is 10 times faster than the real world. His demon-suppressing tower is most likely the Tower of Time, that is, the Tower of Time. What about the others? Could there be a Space Tower, Fire Tower, Water Tower, or something like that? Thinking in his heart, he returned to the dormitory. Monkey and He Runsheng should be in class, but surprisingly, Ji Yuxing was there. Ji Yuxing was in a daze. Noticing someone coming in, he turned around woodenly. Seeing that it was Chen Qing, he suddenly walked over. Then, he knelt on the ground. Bang bang kowtow. Chen Qing. Illusion. Chen Qing, I don't want anyone to die in front of me anymore. I want to become stronger. Can you can you help me find a ghost pet? When Ji Yuxing raised his head, his face was full of tears. Chen Qing had seen too many such scenes. He was not moved, but he did not expect Ji Yuxing to kneel down and beg him. It happened that Chen Qing was now in the spirit realm, so he could contract a third ghost pet. The last few garbage in the demon suppression tower had to be replaced, so he could try his luck. He nodded immediately. Wait for me to call. Just when he was about to say the phone, he remembered that he was special because he could use the mobile phone at the base. So he changed his words. Wait for me at the gate of Zhongpan community at 7 o'clock in the evening. Chen Qing was right, I will go back to Zhongpan community tonight. There is something very important. In the previous life, Chen Quan sent the paper armor and paper knife today. 2 pieces of paper armor and 2 paper knives. With these 4 things, Chen Qing and Chen Man can survive to the 3rd blood moon. The word, why, has been suppressed for many years. They must have many difficulties. But Chen Qing still wants to ask why. After thinking about it, he found the monkey. Wait for me at the gate of Zhongpan community at 7 o'clock tonight, let's go to the Princess Ghost domain. The monkey was stunned, and then overjoyed. Okay, Brother Qing. I can contract 2 ghost pets, and now there is still 1 empty. Just as a warrior, he was already ranked in the top 3 among the newcomers, although Chen Qing let him off. Monkey asked himself if he was in the top 5 in terms of strength. Chen Qing, Zhou Yangchao, Ji Luo, the top 3 must be ranked like this. Even though Zhou Yangchao had an evil ghost level ghost pet, he was sure that Chen Qing was more powerful. 4th, it could be Chen Kun, or it could be himself. Only after the competition can we know. It was still early. Chen Qing returned to the dormitory, and everyone went to class, so he returned to the 3rd floor with a thought. He took out 10 bags and looked at them one by one. Ghost beads and spirit stones accounted for the majority, with more than 1,000. There were also some spiritual medicines and herbs, but it was hard to tell what they were used for. Once opened, the ghost energy and spiritual energy intertwined, and the momentum was amazing. Many ghost pets looked over. Of course, they didn't dare to do anything. The ghost meter measured it, and the strength of the ghost pets increased. Chen Qing summoned Zhang Kui with a thought. All the ghost pets immediately knelt down and trembled. Zhang Kui, there is a very powerful ghost. I bet you can't freeze it. Zhang Kui was furious. Ghost, no matter how powerful a ghost is, it can't be more powerful than this immortal. Then do you dare to bet? Bet 5 ghost beads. Zhang Kui was overjoyed. Let's bet. Pin. Chen Qing made a pinky promise with him. He deliberately smiled slyly and said, when I call you, I will use the smallest voice, and you can't hear it. Bullshit. This immortal can hear the smallest voice. Zhang Kui said this, and he was already a little cautious. I'm afraid he will listen to Chen Qing's call with his ears erect these days. Okay. Chen Qing was afraid that Zhang Kui would not be able to hear. Back to the real world, he said in a very quiet voice, Zhang Kui. The next second, Zhang Kui's voice appeared immediately. What's wrong, what's wrong? Chen Qing pretended to be shocked. I have used such a low voice, and you can still hear it. Zhang Kui was very proud. He, even if your voice is 10 times lower, this immortal can still hear it. After taking back Zhang Kui, Chen Qing deliberately murmured, my God, this is too powerful. I'm afraid I'll lose this bet. In a place of nothingness and chaos somewhere in the demon suppression tower, Zhang Kui was overjoyed. Back to the 3rd floor, Chen Qing practiced Duobao Taoism again. The 8 soul powers went hand in hand. Chen Qing had tried his best to control them, but he always lost sight of one thing while focusing on another. Time passed slowly. Soon, it was afternoon. And Chen Qing had been practicing in the tower for 3 days. Master, you can absorb the spiritual energy in the spirit stone. Huapi said. Chen Qing was startled and took out a spirit stone. The method of absorption is not difficult. In just half a minute, Chen Qing's eyes widened. Refreshed. Excited. Why didn't you say it before? I thought everyone knew this. Chen Qing shook his head. Leaving the base, we came to the riverside community. Since Chen Qing's budget increased significantly, there were a lot of things to be installed, so the construction was changed to 24-hour construction. Fortunately, the most time-consuming things have been completed, and the installation and replacement of configurations only took 2 or 3 days. Although they had already greeted each other, Manager Yang still waited for Chen Qing. Manager Yang, you don't have to be so polite. No, Mr. Chen, other people's construction is eager to be monitored 24 hours a day. You have only come now, which is the greatest trust in our company. I will show you. Not only Chen Qing's house, but the entire building has been strengthened. The appearance is clean and tidy, and the corridor is brand new. After the renovation, the weight is very large, so the bearing capacity of the lower floors is strengthened. They didn't agree at first, but later they agreed because they said it was free for everyone to decorate. Manager Yang whispered. There are surveillance cameras installed in the voice-controlled lights in each building. What do they monitor? Chen Qing didn't care, but he was a professional, so he didn't refute. Arriving at the 5th floor, Manager Yang pointed at 503 and said, "It has been bought here. It is considered as the fireproof layer of your house." Chen Qing exclaimed, "Wow. Then let's strengthen this one too. Will it take a long time?" The apartment types here are common, and there are ready-made modules. 2 days are enough. When I arrived at the 6th floor, I could no longer tell that it was my old, dilapidated house. The entire wall was replaced with frosted metal. The door is very thick. I knocked twice, and the sound was extremely dull. There are 2 doors, and the inside can be completely blocked with a mechanical structure. Even if explosives are used, this building will collapse first. After entering, Chen Qing was even more satisfied. Firearms can be seen everywhere. According to your instructions, 7 million firearms and ammunition have been purchased, and there is a special arsenal. The sofa is made of iron wood, which will not deform in normal use for 100 years. The sofa cover is made of the latest generation of self-cleaning cloth. It can be used for 20 years under normal use, and there are 20 sets of spares. Introduced them one by one. Chen Qing only said, "Great. The house is 128 square meters, originally empty, but now it is packed full, but the storage is orderly and not crowded at all." When I came to the gym, there were many fitness equipments in 21 square meters of space, which were arranged in an orderly manner. These equipments were carefully designed, and each one could be reassembled into another equipment after being disassembled. What caught Chen Qing's attention most were the 3 tall and short dolls standing beside him. It is made of silicone, and it has intermediate AI when connected to the internet. Almost no questions can be asked it. When it is disconnected from the internet, it has primary AI, and daily conversation is no problem. The whole body can heat up, 50 personalities are preset, and the key parts have self-cleaning mode, which can be replaced. Chen Qing. The doll in the middle is wearing a black silk miniskirt and a peaceful face. After lifting up the skirt, Chen Qing immediately gave a thumbs up. Realistic. Too realistic. Next is the recreation room. The whole house is customized, so storage is natural and no problem at all. For easy maintenance, the controller, mouse, and keyboard are the most common models, and they are all modular in design. Manager Yang opened a box. These are all replacement parts. If used 10 hours a day, it can be used for 100 years. Quote. Mr. Chen said last time that the storage capacity will be upgraded again, reaching 150 petabytes. To be honest, we spent a lot of effort and only installed 61 petabytes. The content inside can be read 24 hours a day. It will take 40,000 years to complete. Quote. The game has collected almost all the games on the market. Even the web games have been localized. Quote. Hardware is the top priority. It is the most durable version on the market, but we have equipped with 10 sets of spare parts. Quote. In short, everything is prepared to the standard of use for 100 years. Then we came to the electrical room. The diesel engine is not difficult to build, so in addition to the 5 complete units, there are 20 spare units. The engine kit can also be replaced with firewood. Anything that can be burned, including household garbage, can be burned to generate electricity. Of course, the effect will be worse. Quote. In addition, there are various power generation equipment, including solar panels covering the entire roof, wind power generation, and even hand-cranked generators. The storage room is on the roof. Chen Qing felt relieved as soon as he saw it. The space is about 600 square meters, and it has extended to the top of other people's houses. There must have been some trouble in the process, but it has been settled. The largest area is the family farm, which covers an area of 300 square meters. The seed house is here. Using the crops we recommend, we can produce about 3 kilograms of vegetables per square meter per week. Potatoes are recommended as staple food, such as Qingshu 9e. If the temperature and humidity are well controlled, the yield can reach 90 kilograms in 80 days. The fertilizer in the soil is specially prepared by us. Combined with biological fertilizer, that is, human feces, it can generally be recycled about 300 times. Even if it is planted at a high intensity, it can last for 50 years. Vegetables, fruits and staple foods are planted together, and the combined output is 100,000 tons per day. It can reach 110 kilograms. After calculating, Chen Qing was a little confused. Manager Yang, did you calculate correctly? Every day, 110, or kilograms. This is low-intensity planting. If it is super high-intensity planting, it can be doubled, times. Then why'd I buy so much food? When he came to the storage room, Chen Qing felt safe. The 110 square meter storage room was divided into 4 areas, filled with canned food. According to the ideal extreme situation, there are 400 cubic meters. I only eat canned food, and I eat half and throw away the other half. Chen Man and I can live 2 lives. The entire roof is covered with solar panels, and the power generated in 8 hours is enough for normal use for a month. Great. It's really great to have money. The safe house is not yet completed, it's not a complete one. But it has made Chen Qing very satisfied. After saying goodbye to Manager Yang, Chen Qing opened the door and waited quietly. Chen Quan will come today. And leave a paper knife and paper armor. He stared at the door. My mind was restless and I couldn't calm down. It seemed as if the ridiculously burly man would come in at any time. Time seemed to have not been so slow for a long time. The scorching sun slowly became gentle, and the neighbors were either noisy or peaceful in and out of the community. Chen Qing has been busy with so many things in his life, and he has never sat down to waste time like this. It seems that time has become sticky this afternoon. But it finally came slowly to 6 o'clock. There was no sign of the entrance to the community that he had been staring at. That burly figure appeared. The next moment, Chen Qing's whole body tightened. He drew out the Kunwu sword. In the room, an unimaginable spiritual energy fluctuation appeared. He ran over to take a look. In the living room, a space cracked open. A dark crack. The surging spiritual energy rushed out. 2 big hands grabbed the 2 sides of the hole, one above and one below, trying to stretch it wider. Chen Quan's hand. The dark hole slowly split to a palm width, and Chen Qing immediately saw Chen Quan's weathered face. Brother. Chen Quan was stunned, and his face, which was always calm, stared at Chen Qing. He shouted, but the sound was blocked by something and could not be transmitted. The crack was squirming, trying to repair itself. Chen Quan screamed silently, trying to tear it wider. His 2 giant hands were covered in blood. A hand on the side took a folded. The cardboard was thrown into the crack. Chen Quan looked a little anxious and quickly withdrew his hand. He just looked at Chen Qing quietly. Those eyes were filled with various emotions. The crack quickly repaired and disappeared, taking Chen Quan's eyes with it. Is this a space crack? Chen Qing has never dared to act rashly. He just tried to remember everything he saw. Until the crack disappeared, Chen Qing picked up the cardboard in a daze. Carefully unfolded, it was indeed the familiar paper armor and paper knife. There was a pile of powder in the paper armor. Judging from the shape, it should be a piece of paper. Or a letter. Father and eldest brother, it's hard. Chen Qing felt mixed emotions. To send this paper armor and paper knife, Chen Quan must have paid an unimaginable price. They have never forgotten us. The 2 pieces of paper armor and 2 paper knives are as thin as normal paper, as if they can be torn in half with a slight tear. But when it is imbued with ghost energy, it is a first-class weapon and armor. After a while of being distracted, the phone rang. Chen Qing, we are all at the gate of the community, are you there? Wait for me for 4 minutes. Chen Qing called Manager Yang to tell him that he could continue the construction and came to the gate of the community. Monkey, Lone Star, He Runsheng. The whole dormitory came. Master, please take one. He Runsheng came to pester Monkey. From now on, I will be the most loyal henchman of Master, serving you at your side. I will never say a word. Chen Qing nodded. He Runsheng drove over, saving the need to take a taxi. When the few people arrived at the princess's ghost domain, it was just getting dark. Have you decided what kind of ghost pet you want? The attack power of a warrior is more than enough. I lack a supporting ghost pet. If I'm lucky, I hope to get a hanged ghost. The monkey said. He had seen the perfect combination of Chen Qing's hanged ghost and warrior last time, and he had been itching for a long time. The most important thing is that warriors are hard to find, but hanged ghosts are not too rare. If I'm lucky, I also want a warrior. He Runsheng scratched his head, not confident enough. Well, other ones are also fine. Try to get a higher level. Listen to Chen Qing, Guxing said. Chen Qing nodded. He has advanced to the spirit realm and can contract another one. But he is not short of ghost pets, holding the mentality of better to have less than less. The four entered the ghost domain. With just one step, the green earth turned into a dark brown. In the thick fog, two toilet ghosts were eating something. When they saw someone coming, they immediately escaped into the fog. The two of them walked slowly forward. Compared with a few days ago, the concentration of ghost energy has increased again. I wonder what the result of the battle between the master and the princess will be. Chen Qing thought in his heart. Be careful. A long tongue suddenly pierced out from the dry bushes on the side. Chen Qing dodged to the side and the long tongue chopped down vertically. Looking for death, the monkey had a thought, and the warrior appeared in front of him. The long stick lightly lifted, and the long tongue tilted to the side. The warrior succeeded in one move, and his body rotated a circle. The long stick hit the long-tongued ghost heavily with a sound of breaking wind. The long-tongued ghost fell heavily to the ground, and the long stick had already stabbed its neck. No matter how the long-tongued ghost struggled, it was as steady as a rock. Ji Yuxing and He Runsheng were both envious. Among the newcomers, Monkey's strength was only average, but with this warrior, he was now firmly ranked in the top 5. Does anyone want the long-tongued ghost? After testing, the ghost energy was 50, and it was AC level Wandering Soul, which was quite suitable. But Ji Yuxing and He Runsheng shook their heads. As the ghost energy increased, the density of ghosts increased a lot. From time to time, strange sounds came from the thick fog, like wolf howling, like crying. Just a moment, everyone saw the next ghost. These were two starving ghosts. A big bird that was about to rot was brought from somewhere, and it was eating and snatching. This bird was free in the sky when it was alive, but it didn't expect to become a meal for this starving ghost. He Runsheng sighed, and his eyes slowly turned red. There are more and more ghosts. Will they break through the ghost domain and go to the city one day? Will we be like this bird by then? He Runsheng wiped his tears. Chen Qing. What surprised Chen Qing was that the monkey also had a sad face and sighed. Perhaps the mission of our anti-ghost army is to die in the hands of ghosts. Alas. As he spoke, his eyes turned red. If I had known this, I might as well let them go. Anyway, I can't protect anyone. Ji Yuxing gritted his teeth, and his clenched fists trembled slightly. Not good. It's Yi Crier. Chen Qing suddenly understood. Yi Crier is the evil ghost level of child ghosts. It can amplify people's negative emotions dozens or hundreds of times. When they can't help crying, there is basically no way to save them. They will cry to death. Adults are better, but babies are almost unavoidable. The most difficult thing is, no one has ever found where Yi Crier is. Let's go. With a thought, Wu Fu appeared in front of him. He pulled two of them with both hands. Wu Fu grabbed one, and ran away quickly. After running for 4 or 5 minutes, Chen Qing finally let them go. What happened, master? He Runsheng's eyes were full of tears, and he was a little confused. Just now, there may be a ghost near us that can affect people's emotions. If we don't leave, we may be in trouble. The 3 people's eyes were still red. At this time, they were all shocked and doubtful. They were all sure that they were not mentally controlled, and they could even remember their thoughts completely. But this sadness came inexplicably, and they were indeed affected. What a weird ghost. He Runsheng cursed. It's just a dead bird, and it has come to so many dramas. Guxing and Monkey were also a little embarrassed. Chen Qing was not surprised. But he was alert in his heart, and he actually encountered an evil ghost. According to Han Yuan, the evil ghost in the princess's tomb should have been dealt with long ago. But last time, the princess who was suspected to be an evil spirit appeared openly, and this time she met an evil ghost. I think something has happened. After thinking about it, he told the truth. 3. If I am not mistaken, the ghost we just met is an evil ghost. If we continue, we may be in danger. The three were stunned. The monkey narrowed his eyes. Never mind, let's do it. Guxing did not hesitate. Continue. He Runsheng struggled for a while, and said, do it. The core area of the princess's tomb is too dangerous, so he can only look for opportunities around the periphery. As long as he doesn't meet the princess, with 3 evil ghost-level ghost pets, Chen Qing is confident that he can protect himself. But he has no confidence in protecting the 3 people without exposing his strength. The monkey can definitely be trusted. But the other 2 are just ordinary roommates. Bang! Suddenly, a light knocking sound came from the depths of the fog. Night Watchman. Chen Qing's face changed. Go. Perhaps because it was too far away, the night watchman. The sound did not affect the 4 people. After a while, when they were far enough away, he Runsheng was a little surprised. Great God, what was this just now? Night Watch, evil ghost level. The last time we cleaned up the ghostless temple, it was this kind of ghost. The faces of the 3 people changed drastically when they heard it. Although they did not participate, there were too many brothers injured that night, and they naturally heard about how terrifying this evil ghost was. After encountering 2 evil ghosts in succession, Chen Qing noticed something was wrong. We can't go forward. Chen Qing made a decision immediately. The 3 people were a little disappointed, but naturally they couldn't go forward without thinking. At that moment, they walked back in silence. But, as they walked, Chen Qing frowned. Why did we walk so long? Monkey looked around and pointed to a low wall. We seem to have passed here just now. Looking at the ghost watch, the direction function had already been abnormal. Guxing picked up a stone and put it on the top of the wall, and the 4 set off again. A moment later, the low wall appeared in front again. On the low wall, the stone that Ji Yuxing had placed did not change at all. Ghost, a ghost building a wall. The evil ghost level of the house ghost, Luan Ting. Chen Qing frowned even more. Another evil ghost level. House ghost. Isn't Ji Luo's ghost a house ghost? Monkey frowned. Chen Qing shook his head. He naturally knew what monkey meant. But with Ji Luo's current soul power, he couldn't have an evil ghost level ghost pet. He had only heard of Luan Ting. How could he encounter so many tricky things in one night? Where is he Runsheng? Ji Yuxing suddenly asked. The 3 of them were startled. They were immediately horrified. That's right. Where is he Runsheng? How could he disappear silently? Whoosh! Suddenly, a knife chopped down on his head. Chen Qing was on guard all the time, and subconsciously blocked with his knife. Be careful, be careful. Knives kept coming from other places. It turned out to be a team of soldier ghosts. Chen Qing quickly summoned a warrior. Monkey also summoned his warrior. 3 people and 2 ghosts, 3 knives and 2 sticks, immediately blocked the knife force. Only then did he see clearly that there were 5 soldier ghosts. The soldier ghosts were far from being a match for the warrior, but the 5 of them attacked and defended together, and they cooperated with each other perfectly, and for a while they forced the 3 people and 2 ghosts to retreat continuously. Chen Qing's mind turned rapidly. Although there was thick fog here, it couldn't be so dense. 5 soldier ghosts, but they didn't notice it until the moment they attacked. I'm afraid they have some means of concealment or invisibility. Ding, ding ding, ding. After the training of the warrior, Chen Qing can still deal with it, but Ji Yuxing and Monkey are already in danger. Kai, the knife flashed, and Ji Yuxing's left arm was already hit by a knife. Ji Yuxing. The monkey hurriedly blocked the soldier ghost in front of him and swung his knife to block the attack on Ji Yuxing. But at the same time, another knife slashed up. Suddenly, the soldier ghost disappeared from the spot. In its original position, there was a hanged ghost in white clothes. And the 2 white silks in front of Chen Qing, which were lightly placed on the low wall, were tightly strangling a crazy struggling soldier ghost. The warrior would naturally not miss this opportunity. A stick. It hit the soldier ghost's head heavily. Clang. The helmet shook violently. The soldier ghost's body stiffened, and Chen Qing's kunwu knife slashed horizontally. The soldier ghost's head flew high. With the death of one soldier ghost, the cooperation between the soldiers and ghosts was weakened by half. Chen Qing and the big warrior separated the three soldier ghosts. Under the attack of Ji Yuxing, monkey, and little warrior, the head of the second soldier ghost was also cut off. Then, the third one came. Chen Qing asked, Ji Yuxing, soldier ghost, do you want it? Yes. Ji Yuxing did not hesitate. Not everyone can meet a warrior, and the soldier ghost is already an excellent choice. Do you want both? 1. The monkey was struggling. The soldier ghost was not as good as the warrior, but it was indeed a good choice. But after a while, he gave up. With the warrior, there was no shortage of attack, only assistance. After measuring the ghost energy, one ghost was left with a ghost energy of 61. The big warrior and the little warrior pressed his hands and feet firmly on the ground. Ji Yuxing took 2 steps forward and began to perform the ghost contract technique. Once, twice, 3 times. On the 8th time, the contract was finally successful. Chen Qing quietly replaced the toilet ghost, gambling ghost, and gas-eating ghost with 3 soldier ghosts, 1 B-level wandering soul, and 2 C-level wandering souls. The ghost energy values of these 3 soldier ghosts are only 46, 55, and 61, which are very weak, but they can also increase Zhang Kui's ghost energy value by about 80. Ji Yuxing let out a long sigh. He looked at Chen Qing with gratitude. Chen Qing, I am not good at talking and I can't say anything. But, thank you. Chen Qing nodded. Follow me. Monkey and Lone Star followed immediately. The 3 of them came to the water's edge. This area used to have vertical agriculture, with many ponds. After they were not taken care of, the embankments between the ponds were either damaged and connected together, or they became a pool of stagnant water, drying up day by day. There were splashes of water on the edge of the pond. In the dark night, it was difficult to find even if you looked closely. Chen Qing followed the water traces, turning left and right. In just 1 minute, the scene in front of him suddenly became clear. He Runsheng looked at Chen Qing and the other 2 in surprise. You. One knife. He Runsheng's left leg was cut off from the knee. Lone Star and Monkey's pupils suddenly shrank. He Runsheng screamed, looking at the broken leg in disbelief. You. Why? Quote. He Runsheng's face turned pale. You dare. You. The blood drops from the tip of Kunwu's knife were dripping into the pond. Ripples were spreading one after another. Chen Qing, don't, I say, He Runsheng panicked. I never expected Chen Qing to be so cruel without saying a word. Even after nearly 10 days of brutal training, his knowledge was still at the student stage. Breaking hands and limbs with one move was a cruelty he had never imagined. In his mind, beating each other up was already a big grudge. And now he suddenly found that Chen Qing might dare to kill people. Ji Luo, it's Ji Luo. He asked me to report everything about you. As long as you listen, he will give me a house ghost. When my soul power is enough, he will help me advance the house ghost to the Luanting. Quote. Chen Qing held the knife and stepped forward. On the 1-foot-wide embankment, He Runsheng was terrified. He ignored the pain and crawled back frantically. Uncle G, help. Your hair is not fully grown, but you are very cruel. Suddenly, a voice said sinisterly. A middle-aged man walked out of the space in front, as if he was hiding behind a lifelike painting. This man was strong and dark-skinned. Looking at Chen Qing coldly. How did you see through the chaos? Quote. How can you see through it? Sorry, I have many ghost pets. Throwing one in the pool is not too much, right? The water monkey has been following the 4 people from a distance in the pond, and then followed He Runsheng, who quietly left the team, and marked the path He Runsheng walked. Chen Qing followed the mark and walked out of the chaotic court. Chaotic court is actually controlled by someone. It's as if a certain area is divided into several puzzle pieces and constantly reassembled. Of course, the piece he is in will not move. That is the so-called eye of the formation. Chen Qing is not used to being open-hearted with the enemy, and smiled indifferently because you left the biggest flaw. Chen Qing pointed to the sky above the middle-aged man's head. The middle-aged man subconsciously looked up. Wow. A black shadow emerged from the water like an arrow. With a thud, it rushed into the pool on the other side. And the middle-aged man has disappeared. Guxing and the monkey were both shocked. Be careful, quote. In the pond, the middle-aged man was entangled by the long tail of the water monkey and pressed to the bottom of the pond. The water monkey's hands and feet were not idle either. It opened its claws left and right, stabbing the middle-aged man's neck and chest with a puff. Large streams of blood came out, and even under this gloomy sky, it was vaguely visible. Bubbles kept coming out, and the middle-aged man's body twitched violently under the water. Gradually, the movement became smaller and smaller. Finally, he died completely at the bottom of the pond. Hirunsheng was cold all over. In his eyes, Uncle Ji was a master of the same level as Han Yuan. But he was trapped in this pond by Chen Qing. Chen Qing. We are classmates, quote. I was just confused for a moment. You. The monkey and Guxing looked at this scene and felt cold all over. Yes, that, Luan Ting, is right here. Here. Monkey, Ji Yuxing, keep an eye on him. Chen Qing took a few steps forward, and the scene in front of him changed again. In front, a white weasel was fleeing at a high speed. But the death of its master brought terrible weakness. It didn't run very fast. As this, Luan Ting. With a thought, the hairy zombie and the hanged ghost appeared in front of him. The hairy zombie's big hand had been raised high towards the hanged ghost. The next second, the hanged ghost whose neck was strangled by the white silk suddenly disappeared. Inside the white silk was a frantically struggling white weasel. The hairy zombie's big hand fell heavily. Bang! It was like smashing a watermelon. The brain of the white weasel was splattered everywhere. Controlling the explosion of the sea-level wandering ghost soldiers, making room for the chaotic court. Chen Qing slowly returned to the three people. Hirunsheng's face turned pale, and he was on the verge of blood loss and shock. Chen Qing, how are you going to deal with him? Ji Yuxing asked, but in fact he already had the answer in his heart. Chen Qing smiled, hugged the two of them, and walked out of the pool. Don't talk about these topics that spoil the fun. At the same time, with a thought, the embroidered girl appeared by the pond, chuckling and walking towards Hirunsheng. Chen Qing gave her an order. Sew a human skin wedding dress. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.